Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Tsumihoroboshi. Part 6 of Higurashi, and we're continuing what feels like the second arc of it. Let's get into things. Hope this is as good as the first arc seemed to be, until it abruptly ended. Now, about homing ability and homesickness. That's a weird tangent, but alright. If you interpret homing ability in a broad sense, you can say most animals have a homing ability. It's the same with humans. We like to sleep, rest, and eat at a place where we feel comfortable, namely our homes. Your home is to you what nests are to animals, and therefore we can say that humans have a homing ability as well. First of all, why do animals need nests? The answer is the same as for humans. Sleeping, resting, and eating are the essential actions for survival, and at the same time, those actions leave one defenseless as well. And that's why you need a safe area where you can be defenseless. Everybody knows that not having this safe area results in a high level of stress. When you move an animal to a new environment, it naturally becomes stressed. When you force a person to live in a foreign land where they aren't comfortable, they become greatly stressed as well. Everybody knows that this kind of stress is called homesickness. The Japanese don't know much about homesickness. We defined it as mental weakness and neglected to treat it for a long period of time. Come again? Come again? The Japanese don't know much about homesickness. We neglected to treat it for a long time. I'm sorry, the Japanese spent several hundred years in isolation, refusing to leave their islands. That is not quite ignoring the treatment, but rather avoiding the hazard that causes it. However, homesickness has a very long history. In Europe's Middle Ages, people believed it wasn't a mental, but rather a physical disease. People also believed that out of everyone, the Swiss got the disease the most. The Swiss, you see, were known to be an ethnic group that worked away from home in that era. They lived far away from their homes. There were no telephones at the time, so they couldn't even hear their families' voices for ages and ages. It's easy to imagine the young Swiss workers got homesick while working in a strange land. The Swiss who got homesick wanted to go home, but they couldn't because of their jobs. The conflict made them weak physically and mentally. Some of them went crazy and tried to escape the reality by committing suicide or running away. The Swiss at the time were very superstitious, and many folk remedies and occult-like treatments to prevent homesickness went around. Since going home was the only treatment, they must have called it a fatal disease. But it isn't really one, of course. Specifically, homesickness is a sign that human homing instinct. Your brain desires to go back to your safe area, namely your home. At first, your brain makes you remember the happy memories of home, and it urges you to go home in a natural way. But when reason stops you from achieving your desire, your brain starts sending unnatural signals to your body. As a result, your body gets weak, and that makes it more difficult for you to live in a strange land. In the end, you have to bend reason in order to achieve your desire to go home. The homesickness is born from our homing instincts. The stronger one's homing instinct is, the stronger their homesickness. The strength of that homing instinct varies from individual to individual and depends on the environment in which the individuals live. When your home is safe and the environment you live in dangerous, your homing instinct grows stronger. On the other hand, when the environment you live in is safer than your homing instinct becomes very, very weak. Safety isn't the only element that affects its strength. Cultural aspects affect it too. Oh? The many customs demanding families to return home for major events vary with each region, so your birthplace's culture also affects the strength of your homing instinct. Amongst those regions, the transcendents of Onigafuchi village were believed to have an excessively strong homing instinct. The people of Onigafuchi forbade their fellows from ever leaving. That's how we bring this around into the realm of Higurashi. I see. Many people believe this was the effect of the elitism and sense of purity I already mentioned before. People today still strongly believe Oyashiro-sama puts his curse on you if you break his rule and abandon the village. This superstition can be interpreted as homesickness. How do you beat the final battle in Solomon? Start with someone who has a stun, and expect your team to die the next turn. Then beat the fight with your last 3 people, typically a setup for a solo. People who can beat the last boss solo include Heracles, Theo, possibly with command seals if he's only NP1, and a couple other people. Basically, anyone who's insanely good at soloing. I did a Cursed Arm setup who was like 10-10-10. You can also one-shot him if you have a shit ton of buffs. If you have enough damage, you can in fact one-shot him. He only has like he has like 1,000,000 hit points though, so it's pretty hard to do. But it's possible. That's the important part. Most relevant for, I think, the Ushi setup is I believe he kills your front line. So you can put buffs on her, plug suit her away, then he kills your front line. I assume he means the one that's actually difficult. The one where your front line just gets obliterated. If you're gonna do it the normal way or the solo way, you typically just sacrifice 3 people on the front line. And then make your actual team your second line. And typically, like, just try to set up for a solo and last long enough. That's typically how it's done, to my knowledge. You can also do setups for, like, one shots with it, but it's not necessary. Basically, there's a few ways around it, but you need to build your team to essentially function with only 3 people. Unless you really want to use, like, Asclepius or something to keep everyone alive. Everyone but him alive, I guess. And a bond her? Yeah, you can borrow one. If homesickness is directly proportional to one's homing instinct, the exaggerated expression curse would signify the strength of that homesickness and also their homing instinct. Yeah, so like when I say like set up for the solo, you can just literally put like 3 level 1 servants there. Ideally one that has like stun. Like, I think Medusa has stun on her second skill, so maybe like a level 30 Medusa. You typically do something like that to try to make stars or do a little bit of damage. Die. And then have like a borrowed Herc kill everything. Yeah, there's ways to get there. Basically, you just need to like kill it. Like the upside of the boss is that a lot of his attacks, his non-buster attacks have really high hit counts, and I think it's like his arts attack or his quick attack is the one where he hits the whole board for like 500 damage, and like 10 times you can get a ton of NP just from getting hit once or twice. So with good RNG, you can absolutely destroy the boss by just NPing back to back thanks to how much NP he's giving you. And like, remember, the boss's supercharged NP. The boss's supercharged NP is only the first one. After that, the rest of his NPs are way weaker. He opens really strong and then he becomes easier to beat. So like the first NP is there to scare you, show you the fight's legit, and this guy ain't fucking around, and then the rest of the fight's like relatively easy because he's not ever as dangerous as he is on the first turn. And like he has like that NP damage reduction thing that lasts like 3 or whatever turns, so just stunning him even if you aren't doing damage is pretty good. Buys yourself an extra turn effectively. And you don't want to use like a mystic code for that because you have better mystic codes, like the ones that buy you turns or give you invuln. Cooldown reduction invuln or evade and heal might be important. Right. So the curse would just be the strength of your homesickness, a crazy strong homing instinct then, alright. I can assume that they hated the outside world and created an insular society precisely because of their powerful homing ability. Unfortunately, there's no way to measure the strength of the homing ability that the primitive people of Onikafuchi had. It was so strongly forbidden to leave the village that nobody left long enough to get homesick. However, after the Meiji era, things changed. The sacredness of Onikafuchi village dwindled with the efforts of modernization. Many young people longed for city life, and some people were forced to leave the village to get a job. As a result, villagers started venturing outside the village borders. And that was when the transcendence of Onikafuchi realized how strong their homing ability was for the first time. The residents of Hinamizawa got extremely homesick. After a while, people started to call this homesickness the curse of Oyashiro-sama. It became rumored that a person who left the village to get a job in a strange land was cursed. That he went crazy and died, and people who left the village started coming back to either it or the nearby town. Their homesickness and their homing ability were very strong because of their culture. It's reasonable to think these were cultivated by the unique religion in Hinamizawa, namely the cult of Oyashiro-sama. From the moment they were born, they were taught the rules of Oyashiro, and they must have felt guilty about leaving the village unconsciously. As a result, they consider their homesickness the curse of Oyashiro. I'm not sure if their homesickness got stronger because of the rules, or if they made the rules because their homesickness got stronger. I don't know which came first. I grew tired of reading such small print and lay down on the floor on my back. Why is the text red for her now? Why is the text red for her now? It's so weird. Like, it used to be, like, purple. Distinctly purple and not magenta. And now it's like blood orange? Weird choice, but okay. So the true identity of the curse of Oyashiro-sama is homesickness? Mio believed my story and she let me read these scrapbooks. That's why I expected to find something interesting. But what it's saying is that the answer to that is homesickness. Many doctors have told me so many times at counseling. I'm a little bit upset. The word homesickness can't explain the extraordinary experience I had. I saw Oyashiro come down to me from a bright light in the bathroom. I saw the dusky red, nasty maggots come out of my blood vessels. This scrapbook doesn't explain any of that. I don't understand how Mio was going to explain the cloud of maggots. Maybe she didn't have any explanation of that to begin with. Was it perhaps a delusion? I flipped through one of the other scrapbooks Mio let me borrow, looking for an explanation of the maggots I saw, and then I found it. It had the exact title I was looking for. About maggots and the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Damn, she has everything, nicely labeled too. In the Meiji era, a group of villagers were on their way back to Hinamizawa when they started discussing a rumor about a weird disease. They said that maggots started crawling out of the wounds of a person who left Hinamizawa, and that the maggots ate the person's body from the inside. The Shinto priest at the Furude shrine at the time explained that the weird disease was a sign of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. According to tradition, the Shinto priest showed the villagers an ancient scroll, and he told them the story of the maggots had been passed down throughout the ages. Oh, that's not good. This is what the scroll said. The world where demons came from must be interpreted as the land of death. And the demons in that land of death had to live their lives while being eaten by maggots. The villagers who are of demon's blood had nothing to worry about as long as they lived in Hinamizawa under the protection of Oyashiro-sama. But once they left Hinamizawa, abandoning that protection, the maggots that had been sleeping in the blood of the demons would start to awaken, and they'd eat their bodies from the inside out. This maggot disease scared the villagers for a while, and they asked the shrine to provide them with protective talismans when they had to leave the village on business. This is interesting, as it's similar to the way homesickness was dealt with by the Swiss in the Middle Ages. After the war started, the delusion of the maggot disease faded away, but they remained accustomed to send talismans to families that lived away from Hinamizawa. Interesting. The talismans had the word maggot on them. But the most interesting part about this is that the residents of Hinamizawa didn't know about the maggot disease until the rumors began. I'd thought their unconscious worship made those people think of homesickness as a curse. Though this case of previously unknown maggot disease directly contradicts the research I had done so far. It's natural to think the group of people who were on their way back to the village were lost in a mass delusion because they strongly believed in the curse, and that the Shinto priest took advantage of their state of panic to instill a deeper faith in them. But I'm not convinced it was merely a coincidence that this mass delusion matched with the story in the old picture scroll. I wonder if it's possible to see maggots in a wound without having the prerequisite knowledge when a person is cursed by Oyashiro-sama. I wish he would put his curse on someone I could study. I'd love to see those maggots coming out of someone. I felt as if Mio-san was here and making that request of me. Mio's fucking great. She's like, I'd like to see maggots eating someone alive. Magical cursed maggots eating someone. You're like, dear God, alright, Mio. I remember. When she gave me the scrapbooks, she said I might be the only one who could understand them. I felt good just for a moment because I found out the maggots weren't a delusion. But at the same time, it destroyed my excuse. It was a delusion. The maggots weren't a delusion, they were there. And all of a sudden, my wrists, elbows, inner thighs, and neck started itching. I felt the urge to cut open a blood vessel, but I quietly held it down. I remembered that Mio looked very serious when I talked about the maggots. She must have thought it was creepy, but so did I. While I was crying because nobody believed me, a part of me didn't want to believe my body was filled with those creepy things. I think part of me wanted to believe it was a delusion. But now I know it wasn't. It wasn't a delusion. There are some people who had the same experience, oh boy. Maggots in demon blood will awaken when you lose the protection of Oyashiro-sama. In other words, they may not awaken under the protection of Oyashiro. Okay, okay. All the villagers still have maggots in them without knowing it. People of demon's blood are people who have the creepy maggots in their bodies. I tried not to jump to conclusions and flip the pages again. I unconsciously looked for something related to maggots. About parasites and control the host. The maggot disease made me think of something. Is it possible to say the extremely strong homesickness of Hinamizawa was an infectious disease caused by some kind of parasite? You know what? That's a good thought. I'm not trying to connect the maggots they saw with parasites. I'm trying to think about the possibility that their culture might be associated with an infectious disease. Many infectious diseases are caused unintentionally by parasites. A parasite's host is literally its home. It wants to live in the host's body as long as it can, and the best way to do that is to coexist without the host knowing it. But some parasites try to control their hosts and use them for prosperity. For example, some parasites have an ability to control the host in order to force them to be eaten by a superior host. A typical example is the Dicrocolium dendrocrum. This uses oh, I know this. This is true. This is actually a real. This is a real parasite. It uses snails or ants as intermediate hosts and force them to move to the upper side of vegetation so it's easier for a superior host to consume it. Oh yeah, this shit looks fucked up, by the way. Don't look this shit up. It's the parasite I'm thinking. One parasite that controls more complicated animals is called Toxoplasma gondii. It uses mice as intermediate hosts with superior hosts being cats. This parasite makes a mouse. Yeah, parasites in like snails and shit, they look really fucked up, dude. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm warning you guys, because you guys might Google it. You're like, there's no imagery here. I'm like, oh, I'm getting plenty of imagery. I know what kind of parasites they're talking about. The parasites that make snails move out into the open to get fucking eaten, they reside in for reference, they reside in their eyes. Or their eye stalks. And are quite colorful. As I recall. God, I don't want to think about that. That's annoying stuff. So just imagine for 5 minutes a parasite eating your eye to deceive you with regards to what you think you're seeing. All right. Yeah. So this parasite makes a mouse lose its fear of cats to increase its chance of being eaten so the parasite can live within a cat instead. There are parasites that choose hosts at random. The rabies virus is commonly known for that. It lives and breeds in the brain of a host and moves into the host's saliva through the salivary glands. It makes the host extremely aggressive to make it bite things randomly, so it in turn can move into other hosts through saliva. And that's what rabies does, right? Many parasites have a similar ability to control hosts to their benefit. For the examples I used above are about parasites that move on to other hosts to prosper, but there must be some kind of parasite that controls its hosts to have a comfortable environment in which to live. I want to try to connect this theory to the abnormal homing ability and homesickness of the Onikafuchi residents. Let's say there's some kind of parasite that exists in Hinamizawa, and let's say it lives within all the villagers' bodies. For the parasite, Hinamizawa is the most comfortable environment to live in. It gives the hosts a strong homing ability in order to make them stay in Hinamizawa, and furthermore, it causes them to get homesick when they ignore its homing ability and try to leave. They need hosts in which to live. It's convenient for them if their hosts build a community in the environment where it feels comfortable. This theory makes it easier for me to explain the mysteries I described earlier. The Transcendents knew about the existence of this parasite. They knew as hosts to the parasites they couldn't live outside the village, and they created a culture and rules that prohibited contact with the outside world. That's why people act so abnormal during the dam conflict. So the demons that came out of the swamp in the legend of Oyashiro could be interpreted as a mass spread of a parasite. The story about the demons attacking the villagers must be a metaphor for the behavior of the infected villagers who are controlled by the parasite. Okay, this theory is too crazy. I should have just laughed about it. But I felt bad for Mio-san, so I decided not to. Hinamizawa is controlled by a parasite? You could use the theory to explain how the maggots came out of me. I felt a bit dizzy and I was confused. A large part of me thought it was ridiculous, and another thought it was more convincing than any curse. I mean, she's not sure, and there's no evidence. She's just making guesses, hardly even educated ones. But Mio was probably erased because she wrote these scrapbooks, and if so, the contents must be something they can't ignore. They tried to get all of her scrapbooks and consign them to oblivion. What if they noticed some of them are missing? I felt a chill run down my spine. I have to keep it a secret I have these books. And I'll have to try to understand more about their contents. I remember Mio told me that the three families are behind the series of mysterious deaths, and they're trying to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama. According to the theory I read, the parasite must be trying to maintain the current environment of Hinamizawa. The healthiest environment for it is a completely closed village, just like the primitive Onigafuchi. It must be comfortable for the parasite if no hosts go outside the village. They don't even like that the villagers often leave the village to go shopping. This means the parasites would try to goad the hosts into resurrecting the cult of Oyashiro-sama. I remember there was an article in the scrapbook saying demon's blood runs thickest in the three families. That would mean they have more of the parasite in them than other villagers, and they're under its control. The three families seem to be planning to bring the village back to the Onigafuchi era. Reviving the Watanagashi festival after the dam conflict can be interpreted as their desire to revive the faith that started to fade away with the Meiji era. The three families, especially the Sonozaki, have great influence over the region and the public organizations within. What's going on here? I thought this to be a poorly written theory, but the pieces are fitting together one after another. I've never played a jigsaw puzzle as crazy as this. I felt my brain swirling due to this absurd theory. A part of me thought this was ridiculous, and another part of me thought I might be able to expose an unbelievable truth. I mean, this is pretty far-fetched, I'm going to be honest, guys. When I tried to look into the center of it, I felt as if I was going to fall into the whirlpool and drown. This is what she latches onto. Interesting. I'll have to devote myself to reading more seriously. There must be some truth to it. It caused misfortune and made my life miserable after I moved to Ibaraki. I might be able to find the truth, including the cause of my parents' divorce and my desperate behavior. And right then, I heard a knock on the door all of a sudden, scaring me. I hid the scrapbooks under a cushion. Rena, you have a phone call. A phone call? This late? Who is it? It's from a bookstore. Did you order some books? They said they were Uishi-san from the Okonomiya bookstore. Uishi, what do you know, my friend? What do you know? We're basically getting like the first arc. I feel like we're getting the first arc here, but like with a focus on Rena instead. So like Uishi's going after Rena instead of Keiichi, and we're getting half of everything from her perspective. Yawning, fun times. I opened the windows, but all they let in was heat and the cries of the cicadas. It's too hot. Yes. As I recall, Japan's like 5 degrees hotter than where I live on average. That's gonna be hot. Oh god, I wouldn't want to live there. Suddenly I want to live in Japan a whole lot less. Or even visit during its warm season. I'll visit during winter. Or spring, perhaps. Maybe fall? It'll be nice and cool. But not too cool to be comfortable. Damn. Spring and fall are also the nicest seasons around here. It was break time between classes, but we couldn't get any rest. Mion and I leaned on our desk, exhausted by the heat. The younger kids sure are tough considering how the heat wasn't bothering them at all. They were running around the classroom despite the temperature. Schools in cities have air conditioning in their classrooms? Oh, they don't. Only the teacher's office gets to have air conditioning. Wow, sucks to live in Japan. Oh, that's better than nothing. If I were a student at school like that, I'd attack the teachers and take over their office. You'd be the first student ever to do that. Keiichi's dying, I'm sure. I didn't even have the energy to laugh. Mion and I stopped talking and used our notebooks to fan ourselves. I looked at the empty seat nearby. It was Rena's. Rena didn't come to school today. She called and told Chie-sensei she couldn't come because she's sick. Rena seems to be feeling down these days. Yeah, she probably got tired from the heat. You really think that's the reason? Yeah, why? I think it's the incident. Maybe. It's probably both that and the summer heat. I can't even imagine how distressing it was for her to commit a murder, dismember the bodies, and get caught by her friends. We took each other's hands at that place, and we united. All of us believed we closed the case there, and regained our peace. But was that as easy for Rena as it was for us? I mean, we made our peace with things. Rena seems to still be on the verge of another mental breakdown. She must have not quite recovered yet. This old man thought she'd get over it if she played along with us. But I guess her pain ran deeper than I thought. As I recall, like, it's Uishi dragging up the pain, right? Uishi's causing problems and making her suspicious of everyone. What should we do to cheer her up? It's best to just leave her alone, I think. Are you sure about that? We're her friends, you know. Well, it's like homesickness, you know? You get lonely and you want to call home just to hear your mom's voice, but that actually makes your homesickness worse. If you're feeling lonely, the best thing to do is devote yourself to sports or something like that for a change. I want her to do club activities with us, but she doesn't want to. I don't know about her, but people usually have a desire to depend on somebody. You want to depend on someone who supports and sympathizes with you. Haven't you ever experienced that feeling when you can't stop depending on someone when they're trying to cheer you up? I don't know. Completely depending on someone means trying to earn even deeper sympathy from them. At that point, even though you're trying to comfort them, they just slip further and further into depression. By finding initial success through relying on someone and receiving comfort, they grow addicted to indulging in misfortune. I think Rena knows that too, and that's why she wants to be alone right now. If she wanted to depend on us, or get comfort from us, all she'd have to do is stay with us and cry all the time. So, how do we cheer her up? I think she'd appreciate more if you tried to help her forget the pain than if you tried to cheer her up. Don't comfort her, don't cheer her up. There's nothing I can do, is there? There's a golden rule for psychologists, didn't you know? Mental trauma is only healed by the person who has it. If someone else helps a person out of their mental trauma, even if they succeed, that person wouldn't be healed. So all we can do now is wait until Rena heals on her own. I understand the idea. I don't like how cold it sounds, though. I clasped my hands behind the back of my head, looking at the ceiling. And Mion laughed. Rena'll be fine as long as she has someone like you to worry about her. I'm sure she can pull herself together. So all I need to do is be close to her. I don't know about that. There's something you can do, Keiichi. Rika spoke up. I wonder how long she'd been listening to our conversation. What is it? You can listen to her when she wants to talk to somebody. Is that all? I just listen? I don't need to make her feel better? Kei-chan, people feel better just by talking to somebody. Sometimes all they need is someone who does nothing but listen quietly. Just like Misa. I think it's important for us, as her friends, to be there for her whenever she wants to talk to somebody. Mion and Rika were absolutely right. I was going to pat Rena on her shoulder and tell her to cheer up when I saw her next, but... Now I know that would have been one-sided on my part. Rena doesn't want to feel down herself. She wants to cheer up if at all possible. And if I cheer her up irresponsibly, she'd be disappointed because she'd think I didn't understand her pain. You're right. I guess I wasn't trying to understand how she felt. I wanted to cheer her up now, but I now know that's just what I want to do, not what she wants me to do. Thanks, guys. I think I finally understand. On that day, I thought I cheered her up, but I started to doubt if I had reached her heart. I must have been just dragging her someplace where I wanted her to go. I wasn't on her side in the real sense of the term. All of a sudden, Rika patted my head. Ooh, head pats from Rika. Don't worry. We all know you're on her side. Wait, what? What? Did I say something out loud again? It did reach her heart. Kei-chan, you really did give her great strength on that day. Now that I think of it, what you said out there was more than a little theatrical. We heard footsteps from the hallway, and everyone started heading back to their desks. Chie? Yeah. Take your seats, everyone. President, if you would. All rise. We didn't have a club meeting that day because Rena wasn't around. Now that works out for me, because I had an errand to run. Are we going to visit Rena? It wasn't a big errand. My mom wanted me to use her point card to get some detergent. I didn't see the point of going all the way to the store just to get detergent, but my mom told me to go because she's busy helping my dad with his work. Yes, helping dad with his work. Quote, work, yes. I started walking towards the shopping center. I noticed someone was watching me, hiding behind a distant tree. Who could this be? I wonder who would do such a mischievous thing. I stared at them to find out who it was, at which point they emerged. Oh, Rena. Are you feeling better now? I was about to say, but I swallowed the words. Somehow, Rena looked serious. What's going on? Shh. Rena put her index finger to her lips, told me to be quiet, and looked around carefully and beckoned me to come over. I had no idea what was going on, but I followed her instructions, shut my mouth, and ran to her. What's Rena having us do? She gestured for me to squat down to hide in the shadow of the bush. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I could ask the questions later. I just followed her orders for now. It looked like she was making sure no one was following her. If it was Mion, she'd do something like this just to fool me as a joke. But I know Rena doesn't do things like this for fun. I had no idea what kind of situation I'd gotten myself into, but I could feel how tense it was, and I made myself as small as I could. Good. It's okay now. I'm sorry. The tone of her voice made me relax a bit. Whew. What's going on? I think someone's been following me. Wait, what? You think someone's been following you? Who would follow her? When I thought about it, I realized how stupid the question was. Is it the police? Rena, Mamiya, and Tepe Hojo. 2 people disappeared. Even though they were awful human beings, the police had to investigate if they found out they'd gone missing. It probably wouldn't be difficult to find that Rena had often been to Rena's house. But it should be okay, as long as they don't find those bags, it'll be fine. I don't know if it's the police or not, but I feel like someone's been watching me since the night of Watanagashi. What do you mean? Once I asked the question, Rena stared directly at me with a blank expression. Her eyes looked as though they were evaluating me. She stared at me as if she was assessing whether I was worth talking to about something very important. She squeezed her own wrist tightly and started talking in a whisper. I can tell you what's going on. Can you keep it a secret? Ooh, the Ushi wave. Very nice, very nice. That emote's good. That's a good emote. Alright, of course I can. If you want me to keep it secret, I won't tell anybody. Okay. I trust you. She smiled and looked around one more time. They might be looking for Mio-san's scrapbooks. Mio-san? Oh, the nurse, Takana? What about her scrapbooks? The police are keeping the investigation at a wrap, so I'm sure you don't know. Mio Takano was murdered. Wait, what? What? When? She told me to be quiet again. I lowered my voice and let her continue. On the night of Watanagashi, you met Mio and Tomitake, right? They were attacked right after that. Tomitake was cursed, but it was Shiro-sama. He clawed at his own throat and died. Mio was burned to death in the mountains of the Gifu prefecture. Wait, is that true? I mean, nobody told me about that. I know. That's because the police haven't disclosed the investigation. These cases make a fifth of the series of mysterious deaths. Not good. The police have decided not to go public yet. I see. I understand why the police are keeping quiet, but then where did you hear this? Can you keep your secret? I've been in contact with Uishi. He's a detective from Okonomiya Police Department. He told me about the case. Why did he tell you? I don't know. He told me because he could trust me. I was dumbfounded to hear this, but I knew she wasn't lying. If it was Mion, she'd be sticking her tongue out by now, but Rena wouldn't make a joke out of something like this. I mean, she's involved in, like, a homicide investigation? Why? I think the reason why Mia was murdered is because of her research. You know, she was doing ethnological research by studying the history of this village. I heard something along those lines. Takano was interested in the occult and mysterious things. I remember Mion once told me that she was studying the village's legends of man-eating demons out of curiosity. I think she discovered an important secret of the village through her studies. Or maybe she wasn't even close to it, but they thought she was. Wait. What's the secret of this village you're talking about? I just read a few of her scrapbooks. Those are the ones she was handling with extra caution, so I think there's pretty important things in them. I think I know about 80% of what Mio was trying to uncover. If it's true, it's almost too crazy to believe. Right now, I'm trying to figure out where Mio's theory is right or not. So what is it? What's the secret of the village? What could be so important you might get killed by knowing about it? I gasped the moment the words left my mouth. If Rena told me, I might get killed too. I don't want to tell you yet. I promise I will once I verify things. It's really crazy. Too crazy to be true. What do you mean you have to verify things? For example, I myself service verification that the maggot disease can occur without background knowledge, but there's a lot of things I need to verify. They sound too crazy to be true. I can hardly believe them if I don't verify they are maggots. I was lost now and I wanted to ask some questions, but I decided not to cut in. It was so damn hot outside. But Rena held her arms as if she was cold. Rena, I'm always on your side. You can trust me. Thank you. I really appreciate it. From her expression alone, I could tell she really meant it. I could also tell she was involved in something big, and she felt lonely because she couldn't tell anybody else about it. I had to be on her side while she was going through a difficult time. Don't tell anyone you're here today. If I try to hurt you if you found out. Okay. Is there anything I can do to help? Not right now. It's very reassuring. I can ask you for help when I need it. I'll depend on you someday. Thanks. Anytime. Shh. Car's coming. Rena pushed my head into the bush. I went along with it and crouched down even lower in the bushes. We stayed quiet for a while. I could hear our car coming closer, and after a while, a white van passed by. Bear in mind, a white van is also what ran Keiichi off the road a while back. Don't trust those white vans. There might be someone in them. I was surprised at her hearing. She heard the car coming, although it was still far off in the distance. Did you see the license plate number? Wait, what? No, I'm sorry. I didn't. I couldn't either. I think it's the same car I saw earlier. Are they the ones following you? I think so. It passed by me many times today on the street where nobody usually drives. I hit every time, but it's strange. Are they the ones? Are they the ones who killed Takano and Tomitake? Are they looking for the scrapbooks you have? Most likely, yes. I don't blame her for not being able to believe what was going on, because this is really crazy. Bear in mind that the van tried to run him over, and I believe it was a white van that the people with the needles that like caused him to tear his throat out in the first arc were in. So it's the white van that whoever is driving the white van is deep into the drug business or whatever this is. Takano uncovered something really significant through her studies. The people who want that information hidden found out about it, and they killed her on the night of Watanagashi to copy the curse of Oyashiro. They're looking for the scrapbooks, the fruits of her research, and Rena has them. And that's why they're trying to kill Rena? What about your house? It's safe there. The scrapbooks are my secret hideout at the garbage dump. I'm worried about my father, but he'll be fine. He really doesn't know anything. It's written on your face, Keiichi. It says, I can't believe it because it sounds too crazy to be true. Am I right? I wanted to deny it, but it felt bad to lie. I remained silent in the affirmative. It's a normal reaction. I couldn't believe any of it when I read the first scrapbook. I finally started seeing the connections after reading all of them. Oh, sorry, does Mio just like give out a different scrapbook in every arc or what? Because the last one was all about like the murder and torture techniques. And these ones are all on this weird maggot disease? Or is it just what people extract from the text? Like she has the same book, and then people like find land on like specific pages, and those ones resonate with them, so they're the ones that the plot's about. I do want to help you. I just don't know if I don't see the whole picture of what's going on. If I tell you, I might put you in danger. You're already in danger, right? I don't mind. Don't worry about me. Okay. I'll tell you then. There's no background audio here. It's kind of weird. It's probably the three families who killed Mio and Tomitake. To be more specific, the Sonozaki family. Mi-chans. Why? You know about the series of mysterious deaths, right? Of course, the traitors of the dam conflict die every year, right? The series of deaths is like a resolution of the dam conflict. They're trying to end the dam conflict in the true sense of the term by erasing those who have betrayed the village. It looks like that in a way. Nobody really says it out loud, but everyone's suspicious that the family is behind it. That's what I've heard. But if they really wanted to erase the traitors, they wouldn't have to do it on the night of Otanagashi. Why did they kill them all at once? Instead of killing them one by one using the curse and demoning them away every year? Wouldn't that make more sense? I never heard the words demoning away before, but Rena clearly thought they have some kind of creepy significant meaning, so I decided not to cut in. It means they're using the series of deaths to resurrect the sacredness of the Otanagashi festival. Step by step, they're reviving the sacred nature of Onikafuchi that was lost in the Meiji era. Their goal was to revive the level of belief in Oyashiro-sama that used to exist during primitive times. Okay. Belief in Oyashiro. Are you talking about the Furude Shrine? Yes. You think people revere the shrine now? Elder people respect the shrine, but that's it. Kids think it's a place to play. Most of the villagers think it's a place to gather for events. Its sacredness is lost. With the dam conflict, it started to arrive, and they took it as a good opportunity to bring back the cult of Oyashiro-sama. You're saying some fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers are behind all of this? That's what I'm saying. That's not good if it's true. The cult of Oyashiro-sama was managed by the three families to begin with. The three families passed down their ultimate goal of reviving the cult of Oyashiro-sama down to the present generation. When you think about it, you'll understand why the three families took the initiative in uniting the villagers during the dam conflict, why they set up the Guardians office in the shrine, citing Oyashiro, who was almost forgotten at the time. I mean, they gotta resurrect the old gods, right? So the three families. I mean, the fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, basically. But why kill Takano? She discovered the secret of the village. The three families have been hiding it since the era of the Onikafuchi. If it's revealed, the sacredness of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. It's a good reason to kill someone, I guess. If your religion's that important. They found out Mio was getting close to the secret, and that's why they killed her. What's this important secret? I don't care if I put myself in danger, but I need to know. Keiichi's the kind who's gonna kill himself to find out the secret. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you until I'm certain about it. I'm pretty sure right now you just laugh. The secret of the village. You know, if I was reading any other book, I'd tell you 100% that if someone says, "Oh no, I know a secret," it's gonna put you in danger if I tell you, but I can't tell you yet. I need to be 100% sure. I just need to verify it. They get fucking killed the next day, and you have to go on the trail yourself. That's how it always goes, right? They learn, like, the first person who learns too much dies, and they're like, "I can't tell you." They always say, "I can't tell you, not yet," and then they die without delivering the message. Think I'm that kind of guy. I just need a little more time. I can't accept the truth myself because it sounds impossible. I need some time, please. I understand. Don't tell anybody what we talked about today. I mean, this guy likes to blab his mouth. Not even me-chan, Rika, or Satoko. Okay. Well, you should go now. Take a look around for a while before I go home. Can't be too careful anymore. Rena ducked low in the bushes and moved away. I was left alone there. The cries of the cicada surrounded me, making me seem as if I was alone there the whole time. I started walking, still dumbfounded. But in the end, Rena didn't tell me the secret because she was afraid of putting me in danger. But she told me clearly there are people who want to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro, and they're among the three families that control the entire village. They orchestrated the series of deaths for that purpose, and they killed Takano because she got too close to the secret they wanted to hide. Rena met Takano and happened to obtain the scrapbooks, which Takano wrote about her research. Rena still can't believe the secret in the scrapbooks because it's just too crazy. Hey, come on, Rena. You're kidding me, right? It's like a comic book story. A mysterious occult group plotting a conspiracy? I mean, it's not funny, even as a joke. But Rena's right about one thing. Even if this is true, it's really hard to believe. I understand why Rena wanted to wait to tell me this. Maybe she's just fooled by Takano? But Takano was murdered for real. Yeah. Like, she was fooled by Takano, but Takano actually got killed? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Is it also true someone's following Rena looking for the books? I remember Rena said that a white van was following her. You can see white vans anywhere. I bet there's a lot in this village alone. She might just be oversensitive to everything now. Rena hasn't recovered from the shock since that day. It's probably why she got the idea into her head that the police or someone's after her. I didn't cut in while she was talking. I think I did the right thing. If I'd said that it was stupid or something to her face, Rena wouldn't have trusted me again. At that point, however, I gasped. A white van was parked on the side of the street. I wasn't sure if this is the same car that passed by earlier since I didn't see the plate number. But the number of people in the car and the ambience of it was similar to the one earlier. Now he's noticing it. There's one other thing that looks suspicious about it. There's no reason to park here. It was on a small road in the middle of the woods. There's nothing going on around here. No traffic lights, no vending machines, no public phones. I probably wouldn't notice it under ordinary circumstances, but I felt something was wrong. And once I noticed how odd it was definitely suspicious. Remember, nondescript white van is what kills him in the first arc. A bunch of strange men in white coats jump out of the van and inject him with something. There were 4 men in work uniforms in the white van. The driver was smoking a cigarette, but the other men were just sitting there doing nothing. If they wanted to take a break or have a smoke, they could have chosen a better place than here. It was possible they stopped because they had to go to the bathroom really badly, but it didn't seem that way either. They didn't look as comfortable or relaxed as they would if they were taking a break. They looked like they were waiting for something to happen. There was a deep tension in the car. Could they possibly be waiting for Rena? No way. I didn't see anyone walking around here. This road's a back road. Nobody uses this road, let alone by car. But it's impossible. I felt bad for Rena to even think about it, but this must be something she got into her head because she's feeling victimized or something. She must be imagining things because she's still nervous from when her friends caught her in the act of killing Rena and Tepe. Hey, young man. I heard someone say that when I passed by the van. He couldn't mean me. He couldn't even know who I was. So I assumed he was talking to one of the other people in the car. I pretended I didn't hear him and kept walking, and then he said it again. And honked the horn as well. Hey, kid, excuse me. You on your way home from school? He had a strong accent similar to that of the older villagers. He must live here, but I didn't know him. I could tell he didn't know me either because he didn't call me by name. Yeah. You've been walking this road all the way from school, right? Turn the corner where the stationery store is? Yeah. So? They are probably lost, I thought. This village has many small turns. You can easily get lost when you try to take a shortcut. They must have been waiting for someone to ask for directions. But then he said something disturbing. Young man, didn't you see a girl on the way here? Are you fucking kidding me? That's not subtle in the slightest. Anyone else getting chills a little bit? What? A girl in a white hat and white clothes. Purple ribbon on it? Did you see her? They were definitely talking about Rena. Oh, I didn't? I wasn't ready to hear them ask that. Rather, I was scared. And that's why my voice got all shaky. Up until that point, I couldn't believe Rena's story. I thought it was ridiculous. I actually laughed, if only to myself, and that's why I wasn't ready at all. My heart was beating fast and I was sweating all over. I immediately answered no, I didn't, but it might have sounded like an obvious lie. The driver stared into my eyes. He looked like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or not, and my legs started shaking. I felt like a frog under the glare of a snake, and I couldn't move a muscle for a second. But I think the same went for those men too. They were clearly a suspicious group, and they had just asked a villager about a girl out of the blue. Anyone would get suspicious, and I was right. The man broke the ice and started making excuses before I even asked him why he wanted to know about them. No particular reason. We just passed by a girl earlier, but you're a guy, so we were wondering... Okay. Forget it. Sorry for the trouble, young man. We're off. Get their license plate, please. Get their license plate, please. Get their license plate, please. Mind you, he doesn't have a cell phone, so it's going to be really hard to take a picture of their... It's going to be really hard to get their license plate unless you can memorize, like, 10 digits on the spot. The man started the engine and drove away. License plate, please. Even the first 3 characters would help. After they left, I saw nothing. Nothing. Why on earth did he not get to try to check their license plate? At the very least, I would be curious to see if they were local. He said based on the accents they were local, but I'd be like, hey, what's their plate? You know, L4E is more useful than nothing, right? Like, if these guys are super sus, you want to get some information. She said she was contacted by the police, so she could ask the police to run. She could probably ask Ueshi to run the plates. That would help, even if she only has, like, the first 3 characters. If you say, like, white van, you know, ABC, that narrows it down significantly, right? Because then it's white vans in the region with those codes, with those 3 codes. There's probably... This is the 80s, there's less cars than there are today, so it's even easier to narrow down, but you'd probably have like a pretty short list, and then the cops could watch out for it and be like, okay, that one's suspicious, maybe. You know, flag the comings and goings of a van, there might only be 1 or 2 with that license plate. That's right, there's nothing. No reason to park there. What, were they really waiting for Rena? So the eyes and ears of Hinamizawa are physical people. Sure, white van's somewhat nondescript, but if you can get a couple letters off its license plate, that would really help. I'm sure that would help the police at some point. Okay, so the plot thickens. We're going to be diving into the plot. This seems like we're going to be diving into the plot of the first arc. I'm feeling like this is a rehash of the first arc, but with more information. We're getting a lot more information before people are dead. Furthermore, it's important we closely monitor her father. He's also suffered mental shock from the divorce and been trying hard to take care of the patient. There's a strong possibility he might develop an induced delusional disorder. As first step of mental care, one should listen to the patient's story carefully without denying it. That's the most basic of basics. However, when the patient and listener are related, it's easier for the listener to become deeply influenced by the patient's delusions. Additionally, delusional parasitosis is widely known to make people highly impressionable, and the influence can sometimes spread throughout a whole community. Therefore, even if several people claim to acquire a parasitic infection, it doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a parasite. Oh my god, that's where we're going next. It's like everyone could just be believing it. Some of the phone calls to the healthcare centers for the extermination of pests are nothing but a mass delusion. Since the subject matter of the delusion in this case is extremely rabid, the patients might harm or even kill each other in abnormal ways, believing this to be the treatment for the disease. They might also give up hope and commit suicide altogether. Together, in the worst case? Okay. This influential delusional disorder, otherwise known as shared psychotic disorder, shows a particularly strong possibility of influencing close companions. Anyone who's going to contact the patients must be made to understand patients are under medical treatment and must be warned not to be influenced by the patient's delusions. Individuals who are likely to be easily influenced are the patient's family members and people who deeply care about the patient, such as boyfriends or girlfriends. Okay. That was a lunch takeout list, by the way. I don't know how we got there. Don't ask me how that's a lunch takeout list. But we finished chapter 8. Typically, since it looked like we're going into a longer arc, this is probably going to be about 12 chapters. Okay. Well, chapters and a prologue, probably. Or an epilogue, sorry. I should apologize, Rena. I don't think I believed you. I'm really sorry about that. It's okay, Keiji-kun. I'm just glad we didn't get caught. Who are they? Are they pawns of those religious fanatics who are trying to revive the cult? I think they don't realize they're pawns, but I'm sure the Mastermiser used them as such. They must be the ones who pulling the strings behind the scenes since the damn conflict. Did you get the license plate? I heard people working for the Sonozaki did something similar during the conflict itself. Yeah, everyone knows that. Ueshi told me that. There was a kidnapping incident during the dam conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public, but anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising to put a halt to the dam construction. Now, I can totally understand being out of it and not getting the license plate, or like not being able to get all of it. But like, I swear, if someone was like telling me how like important it was to get license plates, I swear, for like the next half day, I'd probably be thinking about the license plate of every vehicle I crossed. Like, have you ever tried to find like specific letters? Have you ever like played, you know, a nice game on road trips where you try to try to pull words out of people's license plates or look for specific letters in people's license plates and like try to do the alphabet or some shit. Like once you do that, if you do that for like 30 minutes, even when you're not playing, you still are like instantly analyzing all the letters in every license plate you cross, right? Even some words when you're reading text, depending on like how you're playing games like that. All right. The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Hey, I never heard about that before. The minister submitted to their demands and made a deal behind the scenes. That's why the incident never went public. Wish she only knows about it because he was in charge of the case. Interesting. And? According to Uishi, between kidnapping the minister's grandson and blackmailing, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police know that the Sonozaki gave the orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At the time, the head of the Sonozaki family, Oryu, had announced a plan to fight against the project by force. She even formed a special attack force using the Yakuza group that's under the Sonozaki's command. She was very serious about the plan to put the Ministry of Construction down by brute force, if she couldn't stop the construction. Everyone knows the family tried to stop the dam project, even if it meant breaking the law. I wasn't surprised to hear she had a dangerous plan like that. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. It sounded just like her. In the end, the plan ended up nothing more than that, but the Special Attack Corps actually underwent the training. And very high-level training at that. What do you mean high-level training? Uishi had uncovered the information right after the dam conflict ended. At the time, Oryu even said if the village was going to be submerged, all members of the Guardians would choose to stay in their houses and drown. Though because Oryu was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to the information he sees, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the dam conflict started to heat up in case the resistance wasn't successful. She actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. Wait, seriously? She actually built like an armed militia? She was putting together an army to face... Alright, face them. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America received a huge amount of money from Oryu for the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them professional training. Oh my god, she's actually like training the citizens as a fucking as a mercenary army. All right, that's crazy. They're getting trained by mercenaries. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oryu. After they came back from America, they were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well. Fucking what? Okay, so she actually like trained up her own militia group. Okay. It sounds like it's from a movie or something. Do you remember how Mi-chan said she could do anything? From flying helicopters to using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Mi-chan joined in on their training. Wait, that was true? Well, let's put it aside for now. Anyway, you have to at least believe the death squad exists in Namizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of a government minister. I didn't take a close look at the four men in the white van, but thinking about it, they did look professional in one way. They were pretending to be just taking a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time. So are they really trying to kill you? I don't think so. If they really want to kill me, I'd be dead already. So what do they want? Are they after the books? Like you saw, they're very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, I don't think they'll resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they would have attacked me in my sleep. They haven't done that. That must mean they're taking it cautiously. They're probably not sure I have the books. They killed Mio and tried to dispose of them. They found the most important ones were missing. They thought she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. And how they think I'm the one who asked them. I'm not sure. They're not sure, so they can't resort to violence. Rena, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game. Yeah, I'm a bit scared. But they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Uishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens. What did he say about them? I'd keep an eye on the Sonozaki family so we could catch them right away if they were working behind the scenes. Did you tell him about the books? No, it didn't. I think you should. He's an officer. I'm sure the police will help you. Keiichi, I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you'd believe me. I don't think he'd believe me if I told him any of this. Wait, Rena. That's not making it more confusing than it is. Just tell me. What is it? What's written in the books? What's the secret that killed Mio? Simply put, if the things written are true, the god they worship would be dethroned. Their god dethroned? Yeah, the sanctity of Oyashiro will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect the belief in Oyashiro. Rena, can you explain it more simply? I'm confused. In other words, Oyashiro isn't a god. He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it would be sacrilegious for people who believed strongly in Oyashiro. Many teachings of Oyashiro, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village. Don't let anyone into the village. One could even say the rest of his teachings are developed to maintain those fundamentals. Let's go in shadow. It really wasn't until later on they added aspects like love your neighbor, view him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity. In other words, Oyashiro existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. He doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe Oyashiro does all that for them, but the truth is, people who abused his name for that purpose. Generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Ooh, okay. Why did he descend in the first place? Because demons came from the swamp and attacked people. In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp. People became demons and attacked others when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp. Wait, whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against so it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons and attacked other villagers, turning them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. It made the infected go out of control. Villagers saw this and explained it like so. Evil demons came from the bottom of the swamp and possessed people, turning them into demons. Number 5 starts today. Wait, oh, does it? Does it? Does it start so soon? I thought we were getting the Uku. Alright. That's the truth of the story of the demons that came from the swamp. It actually explains the legend. So was Oyashiro a doctor who came from a foreign country? That's not quite right. He was something like that. He came to Onikafuchi and treated the disease, but he couldn't cure it for good. All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there's no way to kill the parasites that infested them. After a while, the village was divided into 2 groups. One was made of the people who were infected, and the other of those who weren't. Without a cure, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing them wouldn't solve the problem. Parasites came from their water source, including the swamp. They couldn't fill them in, so if they did that, they'd lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard. That was the location of their ancestors' graves. Is that really the reason why you wouldn't leave a village? My ancestors are buried here? QED, I'm not leaving. Even if it kills me, due to like natural disaster. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected could live without showing symptoms. Both those who were infected and those who weren't decide to live equally and coexist. Oyashiro was impressed by the decision and stayed there, treating them. That's the true identity of the Oyashiro, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon. That's right, and Oyashiro made the rules to ensure the symptoms of the infected would remain suppressed. The rules were to never leave the village and never let anybody in. I understand why he didn't want anyone new in the village. It was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else, but why not leave? It seems the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It causes an outbreak of symptoms to prevent the hosts from leaving when they try. The reaction is the truth behind the curse. The strongest symptoms of the disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who'd just come to the village. If they left after being infected, they might go crazy at a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person leaves, they brought him back by any means necessary. And that's what it means to be demoned away. Wait a minute, Rena. That means everyone in this village, including you and I, are infected. But nothing happens when we leave. In fact, many villagers move away after getting married or some shit. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left. You're right. That's because things went as Oyashiro thought they would. You understand? He isolated the village to weaken the power of the parasite. Hosts are important for parasites. If something happens to the host, parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host goes crazy, the host would be captured and killed, which means the parasites would die. I see. You're talking about natural selection. Good thinking, Keiichi. That's exactly right. As a result of living in the village under such strict rules, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. Oh my goodness, what an inspiration. Are they saying that like the people who go absolutely mental and start murdering people like Shion in the previous arcs? Or possibly even Rena and Keiichi at some points might in fact be infected by a parasite. As a result, only the parasites that act nice to people live on. And that's the explanation between the mix of human and demon blood written in the legend of Oyashiro-sama. But basically, if you go crazy and kill someone, you might be have a parasite in your blood. It means the parasite's almost harmless now. Yes. According to Mio's scrapbooks, there's many people who are infected by harmless parasites. Depends on local food culture. For example, about 80% of the people who live in a country where meat's a staple food are infected by parasites. Because the parasites coexist with humans without doing harm, nobody notices, treats them, or tries to get rid of them. I see. In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harawata Nagashi. Harawata meaning guts. It said the people back then used to eat the guts of infected people who went crazy. It sounds awful, but it's something I had to do. Eating the infected. Are you talking about a vaccine? You're very smart, Keiichi-kun. You also interpreted it like you did. In the legend, it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive, but it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. A truly sad incident has occurred today. Russian TikTok, also known as Kobe, disabled not safe for work posts. The real question is why you're using Russian sites and funneling money to Russia by giving them ad revenue. Alright, so they created a vaccine for the people who died from the strong parasites and helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system. What ads? I guess they don't have a lot of ad providers these days. Who was Oyashiro-sama? A scientist? He must have been from a very advanced country. Was he German? Is the true identity of Oyashiro-sama a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck? I like how the assumption is that he's German. They just like every time they reference a foreign country, why is it Germany? Why is it Germany? They're like, he's from an advanced country. Naturally, he's from Germany. And I'm like, what? What? Why Germany? Wouldn't it be like the Netherlands? Because a lot of their loan words in katakana are derived from Dutch. It's stated advanced country. There is no other. Naturally, in the 80s, the most advanced country, Germany. I thought they were rebuilding, but apparently not. By the 80s, they were the strongest country, despite being literally divided in two. Literally divided in two by the USSR. They're the most advanced country. I'll write that down. Half the country literally just literally being suffocated under the USSR, but yeah, advanced. The other half suffocating because it's really hard to... Well, actually, the other half was fine, right? It was just the other half of Berlin that was getting choked out because they had to fucking airdrop food supplies and materials in there. Because the Russians are assholes. I think that'd be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort. It's interesting to reveal the truth behind old legends. I don't think Rena's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It sounds crazy, but I've never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than that one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now. A person's like a universe. We have countless bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential for staying alive. Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? Oh, I see. This is also what Mio wrote in her scrapbooks. You know, termites, right? They eat wood? But they actually can't digest it themselves. They have unique bacteria that decomposes wood, and as a result, they absorb what they eat. It's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites. I mean, I'm pretty sure termites rot out wood and kill it, but, you know, go with that. I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out. I think termites are one of the worst examples of coexisting parasites. What about, like, lampreys or something? They're parasites that eat other parasites on like whales and sharks, right? When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively, but now I know some of them aren't so bad for us. So the weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp has been exterminated by now. Well, I shouldn't say exterminated. I should say it's harmless now. I thought it was a crazy story at first, but I feel like I just saw the trick behind some crazy magic. It's really interesting. It's to us, but for the cult of the... Oh yeah, sure, it must be a very annoying theory. Of course. If Takano's theory is correct, Oyashiro isn't a god, and the punishment by that god, namely the curse that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have been the symptoms of an infectious disease. So that's what dethroning God would mean. So if the pathogen of this disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Oyashiro would be completely lost. That's right. That's what they're afraid of. He was going to identify the pathogen. After that, she was killed. That must mean she identified it. Maybe. But she's gone and she didn't say anything about that in her books. That's the only reason I could think of, though. It's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions, right? I've never heard of anyone discovering a weird parasite like that. I know. It's true, the pathogen hasn't been found yet. In fact, there's evidence there's some kind of parasite involved. What? Really? When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system cells, eosinophils and macrophages, try to kill the parasite. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin E. Immunoglobulin, my bad. The most common way of checking if a person's infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Takano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of immunoglobulin E in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. If IgE stimulates mast cells and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result, these cause an allergic reaction. The allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for bodies to kill the pathogen. But parasites don't want to be killed, so they secrete substances that counteract IgE. Hello there, General Kenobi. As a result, IgE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stops secreting chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of IgE, but no allergic reactions. And for your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of IgE because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic infection. As a result, a large amount of stimulants like histamine will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that it's attempting to kill. Today I learned how parasites work, and we're getting some very basic very basic. I assume this is actually real science, since that's the best way to do it, right? You mix in some actual science with the pseudoscience. You're like, okay, here's one way parasites avoid detection or like avoid a bodily reaction, and here's what causes hay fever. And then they're like, and this parasite is doing the exact same thing. We can't detect it, but it's real, we swear, right? As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions, and that's how hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it deactivates your immunoglobulin E and suppresses the secretion of stimulants, and as a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever by moving here. So far, we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence. Yeah. That's right. If that's true, the scrapbooks are a big threat to believers in Oyashiro. They don't identify the pathogen, but they prove its existence. Yeah. It poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio. If only this was the 21st century, you could upload this entire thing to the internet and be like, fuck it, someone might find it. Or you have a backup. This really is a scary secret. I believe it because you took the time to explain it to me. But if you skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it would have sounded too crazy to believe. But it would have made newspaper headlines. I told you. I couldn't believe at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't. What's important now is there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to cover up the truth, right? Yeah. That's the most important thing. The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship. Reviving the majesty of their god means reviving the power of that god, and as the power of their god is infectious disease, this disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases, so now I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. It fits better, it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. It's been through a process of natural selection, it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. The harm was once interpreted as a curse. And a curse is the power of a god, so a harmless endemic disease means the god is powerless. Maybe the thing that kills Tomitake is like a concentrated version of the virus that might be resistant to immune system. It means the only way to regain the majesty of that god is to revive the curse. Oh, hey, Angor, how's it going? In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely the harmful, strong version of the parasite. Man, these fanatics want to deny the fact their god was a parasite. You're saying there was researching the parasite? It's contradictory, isn't it? I know. I think this research is a secret only the head of the fanatics is aware of. On the outside, they look like they're praising their god, but they actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its power with their own hands. I get it. Oh my god, this gets crazier and crazier. It didn't say in scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic the manager owns. The Erie Clinic? Why? The facility's too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. I was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist Sonozaki family recruited. It can't be. I think Mio was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place. And he researches the primitive form of the endemic disease. It's hard to believe the coach we know is capable of things like that. Is Coach really researching how to make a horrendous disease that makes people go berserk? I didn't think he was the kind of person to do that. Head pats, that's generous. I'm sorry, he might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. Someone's doing the research somewhere, that much is certain. After 5 years, the research has been completed. The first case was the dismemberment murder by the damn construction workers. Their quarrel turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease and the symptoms, the aggression and delirium might have kicked in. The second-year victims were Satoko's parents. There were no witnesses, the whole event is veiled in mystery, but there's a theory someone might have pushed them over the cliff, since the fence they fell from was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other off the cliff. The Shinto priest died from a disease and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of a hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and killed herself when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Satoshi Hojo's aunt was beaten to death by Satoshi himself, probably. Everyone who knew him remembers how he changed at the time. He showed signs of both aggression and delirium. And in the fifth year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease described in the old scroll of the Furude Shrine. The reason behind it's unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victim a delusion of maggots. It means they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama after 5 years. Tomitake is the victim of the fifth year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I think the only one who understands his death. I'm the only one who understands it, because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With that all explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. It left Hinamizawa and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist, even though it wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. With my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced and completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Oyashiro appearing to me in the bathroom was probably the terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence Oyashiro that I was instilled with when I was little, and then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinami's based purely on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Onikafushi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down as an act of God. I remember once I saw on TV the ingredients indigenous people in South America use some kind of natural drug to have a mystical experience. They call it a ritual to communicate with their gods. That's true. What are the fanatics trying to do? Is spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa? I think that's their goal, but I don't think they'll do it without letting people know about it. Religions don't need ceremonies. What if they create what they wanted to create, and they decide to spread it? I think they name it the Day of Oyashiro's Revival or something. They perform some kind of ceremony. It would be in celebration of the revival of Oyashiro. That's a bad thing, isn't it? I think you can say that, because trying to spread a dangerous pathogen. Isn't that bioterrorism? Oh, this is bad. They used it on Tomitake, confirming they succeeded in duplicating the curse. So the day of revival might be soon. I don't know. It could happen in a few days, or even a year. This is way out of your league, Rena. This is a super serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. We have to report to the police. You think they're gonna believe us? That's right. In Hinamizawa, there's a cult creating a deadly bioweapon with the goal of unleashing it on everyone in the village. I'm sure the police are gonna buy that. It's their choice whether they believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them. Gee. Telling Ueshi means telling him I have the scrapbooks. You think that'd be a problem? Ueshi came to me after Mio was murdered. When they killed Mio, they found what her scrapbooks were missing. They also know she met me at the library a few days ago. No way. You mean... Ueshi could be one of them. It's possible he thinks I have the scrapbooks. He might be trying to find out. In fact, he looks suspicious, and it seemed to me he didn't really tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the family. He could have been trying to look like he was on my side, and he's actually their minion. But the police are our only hope. Keiichi, you know about the case of the 4th year, don't you? Toko's aunt was murdered. I think Satoshi did, but the police, they fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that? Some of the fanatics are with the police, and they fabricated the murder? The same with the autopsy of the Shinto priest. They claim died from a disease, and the inspection of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. Pretty much, if the police are on your side, you're in trouble. 3 families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You've heard from me they also have considerable power over organizations in Okinomiya, right? I have. It's not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me the Sonozaki family holds influence over the whole city. That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here. Rena, please. I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonozaki family the masterminds behind all this? It can't be known. Does that mean Mion's involved too? Please, tell me. I don't know if Mion or Rika are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure, the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all 3 families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling them or if the 3 families are the fanatics. There's a lot of people involved in this. As long as we're not sure what their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I'm not saying I don't trust Mi-chan. He's usually very reliable. I'd ask him for any problem, but not with any problem, but not this one. Yeah, when you're like, Mi-chan might be planning on killing a large number of people in Hinamizawa in worship of a god, you're like, okay, yeah, we can't trust her that much. That said, from what we know, she doesn't seem to know about that. It looks like they're barking up the wrong tree in this case. They might find out too late that it's not the Sonozakis, or that it's a branch of the Sonozakis Mion isn't in cahoots with. That's a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but although Mi jokes when she's with us, she can be a very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the family. Plus, even if she's not involved, we'd put her in danger if we told her about this. If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging, though I think we should tell her. We shouldn't tell her until we confirm she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her to our side, but what if we can't? How are we gonna fight? Well, it's a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I don't want to get you involved. Damn it! Mikado left us a big parting gift, didn't she? Because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I think this is her will. 2 kids versus the mastermind who controls the village? It's gonna be tough. Ordinary methods won't work. But Keiichi, I'm glad I have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together. Alright, they gotta take on the whole village. Keiichi and Rena. So psychopathic axe murderer, or I guess pipe murderer in this route. And a bat murderer from his other route. This is gonna be interesting. Alright. So, Keiichi and Rena versus the entire village, perhaps. Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend. Hydrate or else. Alright, guys. I'm hydrating. I'm getting bonked. I have a thick skull, but it's only so thick. And bruises are annoying. You know, you can't smoothly run your hand through your head if you got, like, annoying bruises. It just feels, like, too bumpy. He's really bonking me. Alright. I know. Thank you. Very reassuring. 2 heads are better than 1. I agree. We can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the books, but I'm going to school tomorrow. I'll act normal. That might sense something's wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiichi. Please, be careful with Michan. She's sometimes very perceptive. Okay. I'll act normal as if I know something. As if I know nothing. Damn it, I'm a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner. It might already be counting down to 0. It's hard to act normal knowing that. I don't think it's going to happen soon. Like I said, if they really are religious fanatics, they need a ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any event other than Watanagashi. You're saying we have at least until the next Watanagashi? No promises. I just can't think of an event other than that. I think we have a year at least. Although, I also feel like we don't because of how they killed Mio. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watanagashi. May not be long until that day. On the day of Oyashiro's revival, they're going to spread a dangerous parasite, and that day might just be around the corner. Rena, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon, it's getting late. My father stuck his head out from the living room, telling me I need to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think your parents will be on your side no matter what. But I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better I don't tell him. I get close to my father to get to me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. Yeah, keep him safe. He's probably not in the right headspace anyway. He's had a heck of a time with the divorce and then a gold-digging girlfriend. I'm sorry, Keiichi. I gotta go. It's getting late. I'll see you at school. Alright, see you tomorrow. Careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore. I'll be careful. I remember the suspicious men in the white van and felt a chill run through my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. If Rena is right, they're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. Rena had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now. She must sense the danger more than I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something like going to the police. All they're doing is watching from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anyone. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day, but if she acted different, they might take it as proof she has the books. We have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself there is no going back, and I put my phone down. Alright. This is Keiichi's attempt to take on the cult. Keiichi's last attempt to take on the cult ended miserably in his death by a phone booth, desperately calling up Ueshi, who was just too slow to respond. The next day, Rena came to school acting normal like she said she would. She talked with Mion as cheerfully as she always did, and made me wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story really was too crazy to believe. But believe it we do, apparently. This village had a weird and rare endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. They've been researching the pathogen of the disease so they can spread it through the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and believed everything she said, but thinking about it with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true, right? The story Rena told me is based on Takano's crazy hand-me-down ideas, based entirely on theories which, although feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano was murdered lends credit to the story. I'll give you that, but... I looked at Mia. She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe she's involved with some crazy conspiracy. Are you listening, K-chan? What? Oh, sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working. Mion made fun of me for reacting slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. But here we are, not trusting her. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about this, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Rena told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them, but it might be worth it telling her without letting Rena know. This is quite the risk you're taking, my friend. Of course, there's at least a 1% chance the conspiracy is true, and Mion's one of them. And if so, I'd be doomed. But if I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, my answer would be obvious. I know that Mion's isn't part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved in something like that, you know, apart from the kidnapping and murder. So that's fine. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. Whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about it. What's going on, K-chan? Okay. I don't know whether you're heading to Fantasyland to live in. Good luck. Yeah, have a good night, dude. What's going on, K-chan? Why'd you call me out here? Is this a good or bad idea? I'm not quite sure myself, honestly. This could be both good and bad. I actually think it might be bad because it destroys Rena's trust in us. You told me not to tell anyone. You're not going to extort money from me, are you? Is that the first thing you think of when you're called out to the gymnasium storeroom? Oh, I know. You want to give me a love letter, don't you? People usually use the shoe locker for that, you know? We don't really do that in the city. A lot of guys hand over their love letters in person. Really? Suddenly embarrassed because we're standing right in front of her. So, wait, you're, Are you kidding me? That's not why I called you here. I have to talk to you about something important. I want you to listen without making fun of me. You got her? Who? What is it? Do you know that there's people who want to revive the cult of Oyashiro? 110 pull. Ooh, congratulations. That is a lucky pull. That is a lucky day. Whew. Caster Otori in 1 pull. That guy is a lucky son of a bitch. Although, you did have a rough time earlier, right? I recall. You had a rough time when she actually first dropped. Congratulations. Now you gotta put her to all 10s. Level's not important. Level 70 is fine. Alright. Huh? What are you talking about? This is my way of getting a feel for the situation. I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point, but Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if only a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress, or she didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyashiro-sama. Nice. 2 5-star craft essences, and 3 4-star craft essences in 1 pull. Damn, that's actually pretty good. I mean, you got her right after beating Solomon. Hey, like that's the reward. They're like, you beat the game, guaranteed 5-star. Here you go, guys. Little known secret: beat an arc, get a 5-star. I decided to tell her everything. All right, how's this gonna go? Mion, your family, the Sonozaki, has a lot of influence in this region, including Hinamizawa, right? Do you think there's a possibility they're working to revive the cult of Oyashiro behind the scenes? Revive? Why? Well, people today don't worship Oyashiro-sama like the people in the old days did. So people like fundamentalists might be trying to make people worship Oyashiro in the same way as the people of Onikafuchi. What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you sure you have no idea what I'm talking about? Of course I don't. It sounds like one of those popular novels that sold over 5 million copies over in America. Neon's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible she's pretending she didn't know anything about it. But regardless, I continued. Well, there's people like that in this village for real. Do you know anything about them? Wait, you're saying those people want to make us worship Oyashiro like the people of Onigafushi did? What good is that going to do? You know, I think it means a lot to people who really believe. But think about it, Kei-chan. Who'd be happy to live under those strict ancient rules? In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village. But for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people of Shei sees a reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics, well, are you talking about old man Kimiyoshi? I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he ain't a fanatic. Believe me, there really are people who are trying to revive the cult. Okay, I believe you for now because I want to hear the rest. Go on. They found out the curse was actually an endemic disease unique to this village, and now they're researching the pathogen. Wait, where? Well, first of all, what's an endemic disease? What's a pathogen? It sounds gross. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and believed everything she said. Okay, so you need to explain endemic diseases are local to a region. A pathogen is just another word for like the disease. It's a slightly more scientific or technical term. Go with that. This disease is not necessarily contagious. Having said it out loud, I started realizing how impossible the story sounded. What's going on with you? Did Mio tell you all this? How did you know? She's infamous for this kind of thing. She's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people got badly taken in by her before. She told me some of her stories once, and I remember they were actually very interesting. Is that true? I think you've heard about this once or twice before, but this village had a unique culture back in the old days. They did a lot of oppressive things, like having very strict rules, strict punishments, a bunch of other cruel traditions. They're well known among cult maniacs. Mio's one of them. So the story about the weird parasite was... What? Parasite? Is that a new story she came up with? What do you mean, new story? I told you, Mia's an occult maniac. She studies the weird legends surrounding Onigafuchi and enjoys making up hypotheses, theories, wild stories about them. She created a lot of different ones aside from that theory that parasites are controlling the village. One I heard off a while back was about UFOs. It was interesting since it connected a lot of different dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed into the Onigafuchi swamp a long time ago. The alien that was in the UFO and the villagers had a battle or something like that. It was one of those great sci-fi horror B-movies. The one Satoko heard was a theory about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. A movement in the Earth's crust opened a connection between the underwater world and Onigafuchi, and the princess of the underworld fell in love with the young man in the village. It was like a sci-fi version of Romeo and Juliet. The story about parasites you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day. Mion began laughing so hard she had to hold her stomach. She's doing a good job making us question whether or not it's real, right? And as I looked at her laughing at that, I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I'd been duped. Sorry, Mion. Please answer my questions. First, do the fanatics who are trying to revive the cult exist? No, they don't. I mean, it's totally the opposite. The three families agreed to open Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make the village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anyone about this, but there's a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. If all goes well, the whole area will flourish. My grandma's betting she'll make a fortune when it causes land prices to skyrocket. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project. You don't think there's people who hate outsiders? I told you there's no such people. What makes you think we want to make the village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land of the village to rich people who want to build country residences here. Your house is on the first lot we sold, Kei-chan. Didn't the villagers welcome you? The three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving. There was nothing vague about what Mion said. Her story makes a lot more sense than Takano's delusional theories. And so Mion's words woke me from that delusion. Oh my god, what about this? I heard the residents of Hinamizawa have extraordinarily high levels of something in their blood and it proves they're infected by parasites? Really? How did Mio figure that out? Takano's a nurse. I'm sure she can do that. And do you think anyone would give their her blood samples for no reason? Because I sure don't. Even if she could get blood samples somehow, how and where would she examine them? How many blood samples do you think she examined by herself? Mion was right. I couldn't believe I thought Takano could do all that just because he was a nurse. I mean, she's probably examined a good number of blood samples, let's be honest. She's probably seen a lot of them. Anytime your blood gets drawn and they do blood work on it, that's probably like, I don't know. She's probably done like 10 or 20 people at least. It's not a big sample, but it's decent. It struck me hard to believe she got that many blood samples and did a high-level examination like that without any help. When I thought about it rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story so easily. I heard people here don't get hay fever, which is proof that they're being infected by the parasite. Only people in cities get hay fever. I heard it had something to do with fuel emissions. That is even less accurate. K-Shade, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okinomiya don't get hay fever, I think. Okay, what about this? I heard the Sonozaki family has a death squad and that they kidnapped the grandson of a government minister once. That sounds so cool. I wish I had a squad like that. But they actually did that. Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed all of it last night. I believed it because Rena looked very serious. It's true the grandson of the minister was found in Takatsuno. We didn't do it. We just acted as if we did. What do you mean? Please explain. Okay, the Onigifushi Guardians protested violently during the dam conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well, but there were people who used the resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name of the Guardians to rob people of money and valuables. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. They literally never mentioned this. The Onigifushi Guardians were an aggressive force at the time. There's a high possibility some people thought they could use the name to extort money. The kidnapping case was one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were the Guardians. They kidnapped the boy to ransom a demand. To tell you the truth, the members of the Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually impressed those guys pulled it off. I remember they even said they'd give them a reward. Wait a second. So the Guardians had nothing to do with the kidnapping? Nope. Not at all. Mion said it firmly. It was a simple and clear answer which left no room for suspicion. And thinking about it, it's nothing surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onigifushi Guardians are very aggressive, but this operation wasn't so easy it could be carried out by any of the normal residents of Hinamizawa. It's obviously the work of professional criminals, without a doubt. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were the masterminds of the case. What do you mean by that? It's a secret precept of the Sonozaki. You can't tell anyone, okay? When an incident like this happens, we act as if we're responsible. It's a tradition of bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yep. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as it works out in our favor, it can be a criminal incident, the weather, or even the lottery numbers. We act as if it happened because the Sonozaki family wanted it to happen. It starts to sound like we're a powerful organization, doesn't it? That's the point. It's a secret strategy that only the Sonozaki family heads know about. The strategy is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than we really are. So what about the plan during the dam conflict? The one to attack the Ministry of Construction? Was that true? I heard they obtained weapons and trained for it. That was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually carry out a plan like that. Our real goal is to make people believe we're capable of doing things like that so we can exact pressure on the government. That's all. They obtained weapons and went through training just to exact pressure. They had no intention of carrying out the plan. They're just bluffing. I guess that makes sense? Sure. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, it wouldn't solve the problem. Even if they did, they would have been crushed in seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? Don't policemen in Japan not carry... Oh no, they do carry guns. We had that. We literally had a scene where he's like, do you have your weapon? What about the weapons in training? As for the weapons, no comment. We did go through training though. We need to do that to make the bluff look real. We gathered some younger men from my father's office and appointed Kasai as leader of the group. We went to a desert in Texas, played war games with some instructors, and went sightseeing in San Fran after. So, I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. I know, Rena and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks of Takano's delusion. Rena was so serious, so I believed her, but if you examine it closely, there's so many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rena took a delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She's still in a state of shock after being caught up with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable, and then she came across this tall tale and believed it. She's a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me from this delusion. The white van I saw yesterday came to the school during lunch break. The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office. Hello, I'm from the Okonogi Gardeners. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? Sure is. By the way, you look beautiful as always. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. Quote invoice, I see. The date's left blank on both of them. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright, we'll start right away. The man was talking to Chie-sensei with a big smile. Wait. Hold up. 1, they're playing ominous music. 2. Okay, let's follow this. You're from the Gardeners. Thank you for coming. It's hot. Is Chie. Chie. A blank check? Interesting. Interesting. That's suspicious. What are you doing there, Maibara? Oh, principal. Who is that guy? The principal pointed his finger at the window, and when I looked out, I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise is coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw young men in work uniforms taking another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. They're gardeners. We haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and trees for a long time. I wanted to clean them up before summer. Oh, thanks, Mr. Principal, for giving us a call. The man noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed. No need, no need. I trust your work. Take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might make a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was loud, and the kids who were playing in schoolyard looked at it curiously. Hey, it's dangerous out there. Go back to your classrooms. It was Chie. She handed an envelope with the documents in it to the principal. It said Okanogi Gardeners in green on the envelope. Principal, please sign the invoice and drop it off at their office next time you go to town hall. Of course, we'll do. Chie-sensei, did they come here yesterday? Yes. They came here to look at the grass late in the afternoon. They told me they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut. The village has a lot of small roads branching off everywhere. I think it can be very confusing. I remember when I first came here, Chie started talking about when she got lost, and they laughed together. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious yesterday because of what Rena told me. At first I thought it wasn't unusual to see a white van. But then after I heard her creepy story, I saw a van parked on the road and got scared. I mean, the minute anyone heard that, right, you'd be like, ooh, it's interesting. Right? I'd be interested too. I'd be like, ooh, a spooky story about a white van, and then you see a white van 2 seconds later. It's a bit suspicious. But actually hearing the story makes the van stand out more than normal, right? The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Hinamizawa, and they got lost trying to take a shortcut on their way back. So, I had it totally twisted around. I believed the fake-sounding story. I believed the family was working behind the scenes. I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. And worse, I doubted Mion. Damn it. I'm a fool. My friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. Oh, I'm so stupid. Anyway, Reina's the problem. She needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her up. She seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that as the Sonozaki family, they are the masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy. I remember the plate number of the white van. I also remember their faces. Without a doubt, this is one of the vans that have been following me. One of them? Oh boy. So far, I've confirmed 3 or 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around the longest of all. People in the other cars must be lookouts. The ones in this van are direct contact, kidnapping, or assassination. Lookouts secure the surroundings. The ones in the van attack the target. A common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. Scrapbook said that too. If so, I gotta watch out. If it's them, not the lookouts who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm in school. They're in the early stage of their operation, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school where people are watching. But it looked like they were talking with Chie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and movements of their mouths. I played my memory of it like a video in my mind. Hello. Oh, thank you for coming. Very hot today, isn't it? It sure is. It sure is, X. You X today? Thank you. Well, we can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. X and X, I see. It's left blank. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright. I used the information I had to guess what was going on. I played the video again and again in my mind, and also paused it and played it in slow-mo to check many times. And then, something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt they're acquainted with Chie-sensei, but I've never seen them visit this school before. It's hard to believe that Chie is their contact. There's no doubt that the Death Squad, under the direct control of the Sonozakis, they have the local accent, which proves they were chosen from the Sonozaki Corps. The Death Squad was talking with Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? She's a member of the church. Who's Chie anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinamizawa's school was closed and was merged with the one in Okinomiya. But the Guardians didn't accept that, and they made a part of their forestry service building into a school. Needless to say, the school didn't have a teacher. It was only going to be a token form of resistance, but a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children and came to work here. She's an executor for the church, everyone knows that, right? That was Rumiko Chie-sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees. They normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lie low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired and they don't get demoted. They work until the official retirement age, and then they're guaranteed with a fixed retirement fund. She is one of those government employees, but she defied the board and came to work for Hinamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard that Oryu Sonozaki herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie for defying their orders. It's easy to get an answer from this by connecting the dots. Chie is recruited by Oryu as a teacher to work at the school the Guardians created. In other words, she's already working for Oryu before she came here. As for the principal, he's the principal of the school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He's a respected person of the region, closely associated with the three families for a long time, so that means the school's been under control of the Sonozakis all along. That's why Chie is acquainted with the Death Squad. It makes sense now. Chie confirmed that I came to school today, made a call, and called them here? I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait till near the gate until class was over. But they came onto the school premises. Why? Stop pretending to be a fool, Rena. Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Think hard and calm down. What will they try to do to me today in school? In school? How are they going to do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie will call me to the teacher's office during the last class of the day. What about my clubmates? It's easy too. Chie can easily make them go home early using her authority as a teacher. She can make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom's going to have carpentry work done today, so they can't stay in school. It sure is X. X, you X today. Thank you. You can start whenever you're ready. Dude, there's no doubt. They clearly said they're ready to do it today. And what else? We'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The X and Y, I see. X is left blank on this sheet. There shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Chie an envelope with some documents in it. The blank is an eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in the blank? Why is it left blank? What does it mean? I told you, Rena. You still think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? That must mean it's an order from a higher up. Is this to make Rena Ryugu become blank? I took a peek from the shadows and saw the principal taking documents from the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern and very serious. I wished I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. I kept looking at him just to see if he'd react at all, and then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said Okonogi Gardeners, and it had some numbers that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight, and I memorized the number. How the hell did she not memorize the fucking license plate on a van? If she can like be around a corner if she has the eyesight to be like around a corner, like out of earshot of someone who's having a conversation and read the documents over their shoulder, a phone number on it, that's crazy. She's got eyesight, that's for sure. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage operation. It probably doesn't even exist. You're gonna call it, find out. I wanted to find out. I looked for a phone. There's only one phone. It's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers are chatting in the hallway looking at the gardeners. It's now or never. I made sure no one was watching me go into the office. I rushed in and grabbed the phone on the principal's desk. I went over the phone number in my head and dialed it up. I'm glad they have a touch tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. I'd just like to point out that the phone pictured is a rotary dial phone. If someone answered, I only have to ask, is this the Okanogi Gardeners? I'd wait for the answer before I hang up. It should be easy. It connected. Number you dialed is. I felt a chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I got it right. It's an easy number. It's impossible to remember it wrong. Did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. This time I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back at any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly. But I needed to make absolutely sure. The number you dialed is... It's the same. There's no doubt. The company, Okanogi Gardeners, doesn't exist. So the company doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation for the Sonozaki family's death squad. Please make sure the number you dialed is correct. The number you dialed is... I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed out of the teacher's office. I ran to the bathroom and held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Rena. Calm down, Rena. Stay cool. Stay cool. Rena? I wasn't safe here anymore. If I stayed here, I might be erased, even in the open. It erased me? But why? They aren't certain I have the books. I told Keiichi-kun where I hid the books. Yesterday I told him I hid them in my hideout. Garbage dump. It's Keiichi in cahoots with the Sonozakis? I felt as if my head was a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was only soup in my brain. Keiichi's a little bit paranoid about that one. I don't think Keiichi's in league with them. I cut up clues, information, and facts like I'd cut vegetables and threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating on the surface and others were on the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked like in a boiling soup. It can't be. Keiichi's on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me at the trash piles. There's no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong, pure heart. He promised he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt him. He's the only one I trust. He's the only one who's on my side right now. And you fucked up. You fucked up, dude. Keiichi, you fucked up. You're allowed to not believe her, but you really shouldn't have told Mion. This is gonna look bad shortly. I'm sorry, Keiichi. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. Sorry. I said it out loud on purpose. Full of regret, I doubted Keiichi, the only one who was on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not may not matter. Erase anyone who's suspicious? That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of revival might just be around the corner, and that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat by any means before it's too late. You don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Oryu Sonozaki saying that. I like how Oryu consistently makes this atmosphere of terror that causes literally everyone in the city to be fucking terrified of her, causing everyone to take extreme measures. Feel like this is a massive downside to your criminal syndicate that is actually directly connected to the Yakuza, whether or not you actually did half this shit. Since you keep it's like if you claim you murder someone every year who betrays the town and people start to believe it, and then you like claim you're like poisoning people, or you claim like you kidnapped the fucking governor's son, or you're like taking hostages in Tokyo to accomplish your goals, like, dude, you're gonna like make people fucking paranoid when they live in this city. I swear to God. This is like the third time. If Oryu is not actually responsible for anything, it's gonna be really funny, because this is like the third freaking time someone's literally just like lost their fucking mind in paranoia about the Sonozakis because they keep claiming shit that Mion at least says they didn't do. This is the second time Mion's told us she didn't do shit. They didn't do shit, but everyone's acting like it's the case because they keep claiming they did. Picture? No, she did say that. That's why they're here today. What do I do? What do I do? Do I wait till school's over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped the net, I was in the pond and they owned the pond. I didn't stand a chance. What do? I couldn't keep escaping. I gotta get out of the pond. I don't know how to fight them. I don't know who's on my side. I was about to give in to despair. For now, I'll think about how to survive this. I at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of this pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on the wall. I don't feel so good. I think I'll go home. Can you tell Chie I left early? I shouldn't let Chie know I'm leaving school early if I'm trying to run away from them. But if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead them to chase after me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They're planning to capture me after school's over, but if I happen to feel sick and leave school early, if they took it that way, they wouldn't think I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the class to get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized no one was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running. Chie, take a look at this. Take a look? Is something wrong with the document? Yes, the date on the quote and invoice are left blank. They're supposed to put today's date here. Oh, they wanted to leave them blank. Said they couldn't put the same date on the quote and invoice. They're told to leave them blank by General Affairs. Okay. And this, the phone number on the invoice, it's different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which is the correct one? Oh, I didn't notice. Hello, excuse me? Yes. What's the matter? The phone number on this invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Which is correct? Oh, it's the one on the invoice. I used the old envelope we used to use at our former office. Sorry about that. I told our part-timer to add a stamp with a new phone number, but I guess she forgot. Paranoia not working out so well for you guys. It might in fact not be a cult this time. Can you erase the number? Oh, there we go. This is not good. It's looking like Rena might be too paranoid for her own good. And she has had at least one mental breakdown. And this is escalating and not in a good way. The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That's to say, in the current case, every time the patient sees something trivial, she tries to interpret it as a curse. It's believed that as a result of the accumulation of these events in an understandable form, a delusional system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting slight signs of a personality disorder. Of course, it's at a mild level. It's not causing hindrance whatsoever to their daily life. It's common for even healthy individuals to have primary delusions in their daily lives. Imagine nothing happens and it's only the paranoia that kills her. I mean, I'm feeling like that's very possible. Which is, of course, going to be incredibly more amusing. Like, how many people in how many timelines is Oryu actually going to get killed? If Oryu's not actually behind anything she claims she does, how many people are going to die because Oryu claimed that she was behind all sorts of terrible things? Mind you, she did actually torture and murder. Her or someone in her organization tortured and murdered several people. We just don't know who at this point. You usually ignore it automatically without recognition, since those delusions are nonsensical. However, there are cases when these delusions accumulate despite being incomprehensible. It largely depends on the particular characteristics of the individual, and it's believed the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe you're aware that primary delusions are categorized into 3 different kinds. Why isn't Oryu being murdered by someone to end it all? Well, now that you mention it, there's Shion actually does murder Oryu. In Paranoia, she's literally so terrified of Oryu that she ends up in one of the arcs, she ends up tasing her. And he hits her with like an overcharged taser, and it kills her. Though she was planning on murdering her anyways. She kind of was like retroactively planning on murdering her at some point anyway. But yeah, she's like at the Sonozaki family house, and she's literally so terrified that Mion's going to have her murdered that she tases Mion and tases Oryu, and is going to like torture them before she gets tortured and killed herself. Now, to be fair, the Sonozakis do in fact have a basement, torture room. where they have tortured people, including Shion before. And there are corpses at the bottom of the well that they throw corpses in after they're done torturing people. So it's not like they don't do that. It's just like whether or not Oryu's behind these specific occurrences is not clear. It's not entirely clear here. It's some things point to it, which Mion seems to claim otherwise. But it's like if the cops go down the well and find the bodies Shion dumped down there and like 5 other bodies, clearly they were killing people at some point, right? And if Shion has had 3 of her fingernails ripped out to appease Oryu, clearly Oryu could, if Oryu's demanding people torture themselves and like permanently injure themselves to appease her for like inconveniences, like, I don't know, dating someone you don't fucking like, then clearly if you do something more extreme, you could easily find yourself dead. And like her father's line is literally the Yakuza who, you know, demand fingers or your head if you fuck up. So like it doesn't seem unreasonable to think Oryu can be behind all this stuff, right? Like if she's gonna claim she's behind this, there's a lot of like circumstantial evidence that points to her, right? It's like, who could do this? Oryu could do this. She claims to have done it, so like, and she's done these horrible things to other people in the past, so why not this horrible thing, right? It's like okay, the Punisher kills Mafia people. Mafia people are dead. The Punisher claims credit for it. Did he kill him? Probably, but you don't actually know that, right? Like how much do you know? How much do you actually know about that? If he just claims it because it's like, well, he made an attempt on him and thought he killed him, and it turns out it was like one of his cronies that like backstabbed him or some shit. Like you don't actually know that. Like Frank Castle makes an attempt on someone's life. He thinks he gets them, but he failed, and someone else kills them. But he claims credit. Did he actually kill them? Not really. It's kind of like that, where we're seeing a lot of things point to Oryu because Oryu seems to be the only possible culprit. But it's possible that we just haven't had another group introduced yet. The cult thing was kind of referenced in the first arc, but it's not clear if that's a separate unit, if it's attached to the Sonozakis, or what much about it, because we've only seen a little bit of it. Alright. So there's 3 kinds of primary delusions. Delusional mood, the feeling of an impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition, the feeling of a sense of duty or goal without basis. Delusional perception, the feeling of a baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it's believed these incomprehensible delusions accumulated, acting out simultaneously in the culture-bound syndrome, triggering a delusional misidentification syndrome. It ultimately caused the incomprehensible delusions to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusion system induces understandable secondary delusions, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. Delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered a secondary delusion. A common factor of all cases of paranoia is that even after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal with no change in personality. The patients are unaware of their own ailments, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there's many cases where patients arm themselves logically, making it extremely difficult for a third party to point out when they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it may depend on the tendency of these delusions, there are also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion or a conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up antisocial behavior. For example, cases where believers of a cult are deeply influenced by a cult's paranoid visions, shifting the group into a conspiracy delusion that makes them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. I like how vague they are about antisocial behavior. Although no such cases have been reported in Japan yet, it could happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious condition as of now. With proper treatment, she should be able to make a full recovery. Make sure her father understands this isn't an unusual case, but something caused by the accumulation of a number of innocent factors that anyone could have. The patient can only be treated by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can be treated. How's it going, Midorana? Quack, quack. For reasons above, If the patient returns to their village, I strongly recommend the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end. Okay. So, I mean, the tips are hinting that this could be a paranoid delusion, right? The tips keep telling us more about paranoid delusions, so they're trying to lead us on the route that this might just be a delusion, nothing bad actually happens. I guess we'll find out. Gotta keep progressing to find out whether she's being paranoid or telling the truth this time. We were promised a tragedy, though, and honestly, we haven't hit the tragedy point yet, so if they promise a tragedy, we might just get delusion, right? The result in this playthrough might be a delusion. They are mowing the grass near the fence, probably a cover to monitor the surroundings. Just in case I tried to escape from the school. But they must have been thinking that would happen only after school was over. They seemed to have no idea I'd already noticed their plan and was trying to run away at the very moment. I couldn't use the front gate. They'd find me easily. I moved behind the school building, made sure no one was around the curry garden, and ran through it, dashing into the forest. I walked through dense undergrowth, stepping on dead wood and climbing over fallen leaves. After walking through the forest for a while, I came to a small road. I know many back roads in this village because of our club activities, and that knowledge finally came in handy. So what now? I'm sure the girl has already passed on my message to Chie-sensei. They must be going crazy by now, knowing I ran away. Anyone else talk to Ryuga-san before she left school? Everyone in class looked at each other and shook their heads. Chie looked upset that Rena left school early without telling her in person. Rena's being feeling sick these days. She left her bag here. What happened to her? I have a bad feeling about this. What? I think I know what's going on. I'm not sure, but I have a bad feeling about this. She must have taken another ridiculous story seriously or something. I hope she doesn't do anything too crazy. I hurried home. My father might be at his new job or might have gone shopping. He wasn't around when I got there. Now that they're on the move, I'm no longer safe in my house. They're dangerous people. They're trained to be capable of attacking the Ministry of Construction, and they actually pulled off the kidnapping of the grandson of the minister. Locked doors and windows don't mean anything to them. In fact, I feel like I was hiding in a box. They could just open up and get at me. I can no longer stay in my own home. It's sad and very frustrating. I killed Rena and Tepe and finally regained a peaceful life with my father. How could this happen to me? I remembered what Keiichi told me before. It expressed my feelings better than anything. Takano left us with a huge parting gift. Why did she give me those terrifying scrapbooks? Why, Takano? Why? Why did she tell me the secret of that unthinkable conspiracy? She got me into this. I didn't do anything. It's all Mio's fault. But who was interested in her stories? I was. Who let her continue talking? I did, and I did it out of curiosity. Who let the memories of Ibaraki return and told Mio about them? Me again. I depended on Mio, hoping she could somehow save me from the memories I've been trying to forget. I shouldn't have remembered anything about that bizarre incident. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten involved in the unthinkable conspiracy. I could have just played around with my friends today. But even if I didn't know about the conspiracy, it'd still continue behind the scenes. I would have been one member of the mob running in a panic, not knowing what's going on the day of Oyashiro's revival. I would have just been swallowed up in their conspiracy anyway. Would I be happier if I faced the day without knowing anything? Would I be happier if I struggled knowing about it but ending up swallowed by it? If I'm going to end up the same way no matter what I choose to do, I'll fight. I'll choose to fight. That's how I seized my happiness before. When Rena invaded my home, seducing my father, I felt like it was the end of the world. I lived on the verge of despair every day. I thought it was the worst misfortune that could befall anyone. But the way things are going, it wasn't actually that bad at all. I only had two enemies, Rena and Tepe. To be fair, actually having a real enemies that are trying to destroy your family is one way to bring back paranoid delusions, right? Giving someone a real, like giving someone who is like in the past or is presently like paranoid people are out to get them, or that they're like cursed or something. Like if you have some paranoid delusions, you know, giving someone a reason to be paranoid by having like literal enemies who are trying to tear down your family for no reason other than their own gain is a pretty good way to put someone back on the paranoia train, right? It's like okay, you're not gonna be cursed, and they're like, oh, are you sure? Like I'm not cursed. There's no ritual call. There's no ritual gonna fuck me over. And it's like no, you're okay. And it's like oh, there's real people now. There's real people. Like this part wasn't a conspiracy, right? Like there's real people out to destroy your family for their own gain, and you're like oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And then you get like fed like another conspiracy about someone else trying to ruin your life and possibly kill you, and you're like, well, if this last one was true, this next one might be true. I knew my enemies. I knew how many there were. I lured them out one by one, attacked them in the dark. It was an easy problem to solve. What about this one? I don't know who my enemies are. I don't know how many or how strong they are. Even the people I once trusted might be my enemies. I can't be sure. It's totally different from the previous problem. It might be the end of the world. This time it really was the worst thing that could possibly happen. But is that really the case? With Rena, I felt it was the end of the world, but I no longer think it was that bad. This might turn out to be an easy problem to solve in the end. I might be able to laugh about it someday. I know that day's gonna come, right? I know it for sure. I shouldn't think this is the end. Let's fight. But who? Who are we fighting? I can fight. I can still struggle. I'd eat grass and drink mud if I needed to. I'm gonna bet on the 1% chance, even though it's unbelievably small. If Mio didn't leave me the scrapbooks, and like the worst part about this, right, is like, it's not like she's paranoid believing Mio's dead. Like, Mio's actually fucking murdered. Like, Mio got brutally murdered, thrown in a trash can, and had her corpse burned in, like, a trashy bonfire. That was pretty messed up, and it actually happened. So, like, when you're thinking, why is this person paranoid? Like, are you fucking serious? Like, people are fucking out to get people they interact with. It's fucked up. Tomitake actually got murdered. Takano got murdered. Like they're not like paranoid that someone's dead when they're not. I was lucky I received the scrapbooks. They gave me the chance to choose my future. If I don't fight, they'll spread their parasite and this village will face a disaster. According to legend, when the demons came out of the swamp, people became demons right after infection. It happened while they were inside the village. These days, the symptoms only appear when people leave the village. That only applies to the later, weak parasites. The original parasite can reenact the curse even when the infected are here. The legend will be reborn. Humans and demons will kill each other, and Oyashiro will come down to pacify the disaster. It's exactly what they want. They want people to prostrate themselves before the miracle, and only the people who truly worship Oyashiro will be saved. I know their true intention now. They're gonna reenact the legend. After all, the villagers always say Rika's his reincarnation. The stage is set. They're gonna use the parasite as the curse. And how will they make it like he comes down to pacify everyone? They'll have some kind of medicine. A specific cure for the parasite. When they recreate the stronger form of the parasite, they found a cure at the same time. Surely, they'll use the cure to save only those who believe in Oyashiro, and as a result, this village will only have those fervent believers. They're going to make themselves the absolute rulers of Hinamizawa. I think it would be really funny if this ended with her distributing the suicide poison to fucking everybody in town. That'd be hilarious. Right? Wouldn't that be a great ending? She thinks she's distributing the cure, and she kills everyone in the city by like infecting their water supply with the actual poison instead. It'd be like one of those things where you're like, oh no, this is so bad, but also like serve them fucking right for making this horrible poison, this horrible undetectable poison. Wait, I might be underestimating them. Are they going to carry out that act of bioterrorism only inside Hinamizawa? History proves when their goal is to control others, people want to spread their religion across a wider area. I'm sure they conducted research to not only bring it back, but also overcome its weaknesses. It only thrives in Hinamizawa. According to Mio, Parasite doesn't like its host to be far from the region. Its weakness is distance. They could extend the distance. They could extend the area. How far along is their research? By now, the Parasite might be able to live anywhere in Okonomiya, or maybe even in the city. Perhaps the whole prefecture? It might even cover nearby prefectures. It's too serious to call it a conspiracy. It's horrifying enough. It's large scale. It's enough to call it a revolution. The day of revival is not far off. I can tell by how they killed Mio, the extent of their pressure they're putting on me. They're trying to get rid of the small fishbone stuck in their throat by any means. The day is coming ever closer. Meanwhile, these random gardeners just like, what the fuck? I'm the only one who can stand against the revolution. I can't trust anybody. I think I can trust Keiichi. No one else. Michan's out of the question. I can't trust Rika. Satoko and Rika stick together like glue. I can't trust Satoko. I can't trust any adults. I can't trust anyone. No one's on my side. I have to stand up against them alone. The clock is ticking towards that day, and the ticking noise made me frustrated. How do I fight against them? What should I do? I needed time to think. I needed a place, a safe area where I could concentrate on thinking, and fortunately I had such an area already. Yes, Judgment Day is coming, my friends. Judgment Day. My hideout at the garbage dump. Nobody goes there, it's safe. Even if they found out about that place. I'm familiar with its surroundings, I know escape routes, places I can hide. It has a big shortcoming as a hiding place, though. It's not hard to imagine what that is. I don't have any food. That's why I came home. I opened one of my father's drawers and took out his cash box. The contents haven't changed since the last time I looked inside. There were many new 10,000 yen bills in the cash box. I took them all. I couldn't tell how many bills there were, but it looked to be about 80. 800,000 yen. So 8 grand. That's a lot of money. This should be plenty. If I evade them long enough to use all this money, that would mean I did well. I might use it to buy someone off. You can never have too much money, especially in a situation like this. I didn't take the bank book. If they're waiting in an ambush at the bank, I'd be done for. It's too risky to withdraw money at the bank. I grabbed my backpack. I took the key for my bicycle. Put everything I think would be convenient to have into the backpack. I didn't care if it got heavy. I'd choose what was necessary to carry around later at my hideout. If there ended up being something I didn't need, I could leave it there. I looked at the clock. 30 minutes since I came home. I stayed too long. I rushed out. I went to a small convenience store and bought as much sweet bread and canned food as I could fit in my backpack. Do you have a can opener? An old lady was at the register. Suffering from dementia, she showed no interest in the extraordinary amount of food I was buying. As soon as the manager of the store checked the sales that night, he'd find out. The idea didn't bother me. I can no longer walk around the village in daylight anyway. My backpack was full. The cans hurt my back as I walked, but it didn't bother me either. I got to my hideout carrying the heavy backpack. I organized the stuff I bought. It was heavy to carry, but I had sufficient food. The abandoned office still had running water, so I could get some from there. I wanted to get some vegetables, but in a situation like this, one could hardly complain. After I organized things, I took out the scrapbooks I hid here, put my brain into top gear, flipping through the pages. Now what? How am I going to stand up against this giant conspiracy? We still don't know who the fuck killed Takano. We have no idea, literally no fucking idea who killed Takano. We're in like arc 6 and it hasn't given us shit about who killed her. Maybe one of the arcs is going to be from her perspective, but if not, like, it could be fucking anyone, man. How do we stand against this gigantic conspiracy? Calm down. You got time. No one knows where this is. There may not be a lot of time, so I have to hurry. But I didn't know what to do. It's easy to run to school in the morning when I oversleep. It's easy because I know where I should go. But now I don't know where I should go or what I should do. And now I've come to this point. I should tell Uishi-san everything. It's like... Now that I've come to this point, I should tell him everything. It's likely he's an enemy. But that doesn't matter anymore. If it's true, I'd just declare war. But if he's on my side, he's my only remaining hope. I'm too weak to stand against the terrifying scale of this conspiracy, poised to instill fear throughout Japan. I'd have to use a public phone to make the call. There's only one public phone in the village that stands at a place where it's hard for people to spot you. That phone booth. It stands in the middle of nowhere where no one really comes around. Many bugs gather around the light when it's dark, and it's not a pleasant place to go to. But I can't think of any other public phones I can use to contact him without being seen. Even though it stands in the middle of nowhere, it's dangerous to use. Right, I forgot. Uishi also contacted her and tried to loop her into a conspiracy about the Sonozakis being, like, horrible people and, like, he needs to help catching them. I think he's trying to catch their Yakuza side, but as someone with paranoid delusions, you know, getting looped into an actual conspiracy against the Yakuza by the cops probably isn't going to help them at all. She's actually, it's like she's looped into like 3 conspiracies, but she's actually just losing her fucking mind. Because like she's actually paranoid, and then she thinks she's in bigger and bigger conspiracies because she keeps getting looped into actual conspiracies, right? It's like first she thinks, you know, first you're thinking like, okay, they're trying to like ruin your family, like you're crazy, and then it turns out she's right. And then Then, like, Ueshi pulls her in and he's like, Sonozakis are an evil group, are an evil family. You need to keep an eye on your friends for me. At any point, they could be murdering people, torturing people, blah, 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 blah. And this is like the cops telling you this. And you're like, okay. The Sonozaki families are evil. They're super powerful. I already know they have influence everywhere. Oh my god, this is fucking terrifying. And then you're like, you read this thing about them, like, working on drugs, and you're like, the last thing was fucking insane, but the cops literally told me it, so it's actually true. Oh my god, I have to do something. Like, the conspiracy is believable because the last two conspiracies were believable, and, like, people are literally dying in connection to these conspiracies, so she's not even, like, or not just dying, being murdered in connection to these conspiracies, so she can't even, like, dismiss them by saying, like, oh, well, she's just gone. Like, you know, there's no way to rationalize it away, right? Alright, wait until nightfall. Take advantage of the darkness. I heard Ueshi had been holding up in the station since Mio-san's murder case, so I should be able to reach him anytime. I wonder if they have any leads on that case. I have the number for the direct line to his office. The sky was still bright. Even though I had no time, I had to wait for it to get dark. Frustrated, I glared at the sunset. I should find something to do. I couldn't waste time that I had. There must be something to do. Eat. Sleep. After I thought about what to do, I found there was something I wanted to confirm. Something I'm worried about. I couldn't do anything else before it got dark anyway. Staying here doing nothing would just make me more frustrated. I made my decision and left the hideout. Rena's father paced up and down restlessly in front of his house. A bicycle appeared, its rider ringing the bell. Police officer, here, over here. A police officer from Hinamizawa had shown up. Having rushed to get here, he was breathing hard. I hope you didn't wait too long. Tell me what happened. I know I locked the door before I left, but when I came back, the door was open and he led the police officer into the house. Look, my cash box was left open in my room. Is this how you found it? You didn't touch anything? I didn't touch the cash box itself. I thought they would have left fingerprints. I touched the contents a bit to check what was missing. What did they take? They didn't take my bank books or my personal seal. They took the cash. They didn't take your bank books or seal, huh? Oh, you're lucky. Professional thieves today don't take bank books because they know how easily they can get caught by using them. This might be a professional cat burglar. Instead of taking the cash box with him, he opened it here. He has to be a pro. How much cash was in there? I haven't counted for a long time. I believe there's about 110,000 yen bills. Oh, did you tell anyone you had that much cash in here? I didn't, but they probably knew I kept cash in the house. They? Who are they? Can you tell me more about them? Well, it's an embarrassing story. Her name is Rena Mamiya, and just then the phone rang. Excuse me, I'll go get that. Give me a minute. Grab the phone. Hello, this is the Ryugu residence. Hello. My bar. Is Rena there? No, she hasn't come back from school yet. She hasn't? Sorry, I'm in the middle of something right now. Can you call back later? Sorry, bye. He hung up after that. I was stunned. It didn't look like anything changed on the surface. It was hard to find this place at all because it perfectly blends in with its surroundings. I only found it again because I remembered there was a tree with a big lump of wood on it nearby. So she's at the place where she buried the corpses? The spot where I buried the corpses was perfectly camouflaged as if nothing happened. Why, at first I thought I came to the wrong place, but I could make certain once I stick a shovel in the ground. I should be able to tell right away whether this place was dug up before or not. After several false starts, I found the exact spot I buried the corpses. But the biggest problem is there are no bags in there at all. Why? How come? Did I bury them deeper than this? This is concerning. This has happened twice now. Keiichi had the exact same problem. Keiichi Maibara was convinced that the person he killed was actually still alive and tried to exhume their corpse. The worst thing was he only buried them like 4 inches deep. He literally dug until he hit a water main in the exact same place that he buried the corpse. And he knew it was the right place because he even left the lantern there still running. He dug out the whole area and was like, where the fuck is the corpse? So this is weird. This is weird. This is happening a second time and it's kind of weird. I remember exactly how deep I buried them. I know I didn't bury them deeper than this. I wasn't expecting this. I came here to check the corpses. I just wanted to do that to kill some time. I didn't want to stay in my hideout doing nothing, so I came here to check if the corpses I buried were still there. That is not a sane thing to do, by the way. I'd make sure they were still there. I'd feel relieved. It was supposed to go like that. This was an unexpected turn of events. I broke out into a cold sweat. What's going on? What's going on? I don't need to calm down to think about what happened. Corpses can't come back to life and crawl out of the ground. Someone must have dug them out. Who did it? Why? Did anyone happen to see us burying the corpses here? Did they dig them out after we left? What if they handed them to the police? Can't be. It's been a while since the day we buried them here. It was before the festival. The police found the corpses. When Ushi contacted me, she had to know about Rena and Tepe. But he didn't tell me anything about them. I don't think he was hiding anything on purpose either. That means the police don't know about Rena and Tepe yet. But why are the corpses gone? It leaves one answer. Who knows about this? One of us came back here, dug out the bags, and took them. First person who comes to mind is Mion. I mean the Sonozaki family. But I don't know why they'd do that. The murder of Rena and Tepe has nothing to do with them. I'm sure they don't want to get involved either, let alone be falsely accused. They must want to stay as far away from this case as possible. Why would they want to keep the corpses? It's like keeping a Joker, even though you'll lose if you have the Joker by the end of the game. If it was me-chan, what would I do? What would I do if I was a club president? The Joker is a card you want to get rid of, at least in the game I mentioned earlier, but it becomes powerful in other games. What game would that be? A shock ran through my spine. At the same time, I realized they were one step ahead of me. The family got the corpses to use them as the Joker as a wild card. They're trying to use them to sell me out to the police. The Sonozaki family's trying to kill me using their death squad, but they want to have insurance just in case they fail. The thing they're afraid of the most is I might work together with the police. If they could prevent that from happening, I'd have no one to work with. If that happens, I can no longer run from them. I'd be still as a fish in their pond. They're going to use the corpses to sell me out to the police for the murder of Rena and Tepe, and if the police start seeing me as the suspect, they'll never listen to my story. It could have been my last hope, but this will turn them against me. I'm sure the Sonozaki family don't want to use their Joker unless necessary. After all, Mion helped me bury the corpses, and they don't want the police to hover around Hinamizawa when the day of revival is so close. I'm going to call Ueshi tonight. I'm going to ask him for help. I'm going to tell him everything, including the things I haven't even told Keiichi. I don't know if Ueshi will believe me. This is my gamble, and my chance of winning is small. My worst enemy has the Joker, the bags, the corpses inside. I'm impressed with Mion. That's what I'd expect from the leader of our club. This is a battle that I'm betting my life on, but to Mion, this is like a board game taking place across Hinamizawa itself. I grinned, repeating to myself, it's just a game. I put my life on the line for every club activity we do because I don't want to suffer the punishment. But this time, it's become the literal truth. There's only one reason they're trying so hard to drive me into a corner. It's because they're afraid of me. I assumed I was a little girl with no power running in confusion, but my enemy must not be thinking that way. Alright, so what do you guys think? Paranoia at like 15 out of 10? If they didn't think I was a threat to them, they wouldn't take risks like this to drive me into a corner. It means the scrapbooks Mio left me. It must be more dangerous to them than I think. Must be more dangerous to them than I think they are. See, they have a Joker, but so do I. The Joker I have is so deadly and powerful it can break their plot into pieces, and that's why they're eager to find me. The cornered mouse really can bite a cat. I felt my fear towards my enemy fade all of a sudden. And just as I fear them, so do they fear me. So this is an evenly matched game. I don't have as bad a hand as I thought I did. I was right to come here. I found out about the card my enemy was holding, and this is a big deal. I felt myself shiver with excitement and grin to encourage myself. I don't need to be here anymore. They know this place. They might come here to find me. It's not safe for me to stay here long. I decided to go back to my hideout. On the way back, I passed close to my house, and I noticed something different right away. I hid behind a bush and looked at the front gate. My father was talking to a police officer. I strained to catch their conversation. Yes, she usually parks it here. My father pointed to the place where I usually parked my bicycle. Okay. Let us know whenever your daughter comes back. We'll try to find her as well. Mi-chan, you're good. Did you already play your Joker? Mion always starts a battle by attacking without hesitation and wins. It seems the police are already after me. My chance of being able to explain the conspiracy to Ueshi was already small, but this makes it smaller. No. That's why I'm going to talk to Ueshi. He sees the family as his enemy and he's trying to expose everything about them before his retirement. That's why he'll be on my side. He's not going to fall for that trick. Of course, there's a high chance that everything was part of their trap from the beginning. It's possible he claimed the Sonozaki family his enemy to make me believe he's on my side. But their Joker is giving me hope. If Ueshi is one of them, it'd be too early to play their Joker. He isn't one, though. That's why they got the Joker, so they can play it before I get to the police. But it might be a trick to make me think that way in order to make me trust Ueshi. When Mion gives me two choices, it's usually better to choose the one I like without thinking too much. Mion, after all, likes to guess people's intentions to confuse them. When you think about a choice, you're already in her trap. I'll do as planned. I'm gonna call Ueshi after it gets dark. He's gonna become my ally. We can talk about the future. And if not, I realized that was when I had to think about before it got dark. I wonder if she can explain enough to convince Ueshi. Don't worry about calling so... No, don't worry about calling so late. Alright, so how badly does this go for her? This has to go badly, right? I don't get paid overtime, but I'm on duty as long as I'm here. I started the conversation with an ordinary greeting to try and gauge his reaction. There's a 50-50 chance he's one of them. If he's their pawn, he'd either lure me out somewhere so he can arrest me, or he'll ask me where those scrapbooks are. Even if he didn't, that wouldn't prove anything. It's going to be difficult to determine if he's on my side or not, and I'd have to tell him about the scrapbooks, no matter what. My heart's beating fast. Even if I was sure Ueshi isn't their pawn, I'd still have to make him believe such a crazy story. And I have to do that over the phone. Worrying wouldn't do anything to me. This is, of course, a gamble. I have but a small chance of winning. If I didn't put my chips on the table, the game wouldn't even start. I told you a bit about this before, but I think someone's following me. Are you sure? Yeah, I wasn't sure before. I thought it was my imagination, but things changed over the past few days, and I'm certain. What do you mean things have changed? A couple cars have been following me. One of them's a white van with 4 men in it. They disguise themselves as gardeners, but they're actually attack units. Attack units? You mean the Sonozaki family's death squad? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's them. They came to my school today. I managed to escape in time, but it was so close. Why would they do that? Do they think you're trying to sniff out their connection to Tomatake's murder? Ueshi hadn't mentioned the scrapbooks yet. It sounded unnatural to beat around the bush by mentioning Tomatake's murder, but as I haven't told them about the scrapbooks, it could be a legitimate reaction. Tell you the truth, I just heard some bad news. I want to confirm it before letting you know, but we did promise to share new information. This is what I heard. It seems the Sonozaki Corps and Okinomi are on the move. Are you talking about these Sonozaki Corps? Yeah, you might find it a bit of a shock. They ordered their greenhorns to fight. Wait. Hold up. I actually need to unmute this. I actually don't know who's saying this. Hold up. I'm actually going to unmute voices. That is Ueshi, and this is gonna be Rena. Interesting. So Ueshi just heard the Sonozaki forces are on the move in Okinomiya. Interesting. Now, like, how is this not fueling someone's paranoia about a grand conspiracy by the Sonozakis? Like, are you serious? Everything that happens seems to fuel that conspiracy, that paranoia, I swear. I'm getting paranoid, but I've actually seen them do things, so my paranoia feels a little bit more justified. You might find it a bit of a shock. They ordered their greenhorns to find a certain person. A certain person? My heart stopped for a moment upon hearing it. Are they? It's hard to believe, but you're the person they're looking for. They're trying to find you. I just got this information, so I don't know the reason why, but they're mentioning your name. You believe my story that my life's in danger? Yes. It matches my information perfectly. Hey, I want to reiterate this. She says, I think my life is in danger from the Sonozakis. And he turns around. This is Ueshi, and he says it matches with my information perfectly. Like, he's confirming all of her delusions that her life's in fucking danger. Ryugu-san, what's going on? Do you have any idea? What they're really looking for, the scrapbooks I have. They want to know where they are and what they believe I'm hiding them. They must be thinking they'll be able to hide the information in the scrapbooks forever if they succeed in shutting my mouth. But I couldn't tell Uishi about that yet. I answered his question by asking him a question. But you, Uishi, do you have any idea? I can't think of anything. I'm afraid I don't. It's hard to believe the Sonozaki Corps are using their resources to capture an individual like you, but it's true. It came from a reliable source. It might be the Sonozaki family who are after me. Not just the Corps. It's unusual for them to take action like this. They only do this when one of their people runs away with their money or something like that. It's usually about trouble within the group. They've never done something like this to an honest person like you. I wanted to be the first, but I need you to do something before... Other than tell me they haven't done anything like this before. I understand, Ryugu. Calm down. Isn't it your turn to tell me something now? What do you mean? Like I said. They don't take action like this often. They might be under some misunderstanding, but it's very unusual they do something like this. Are you sure you have no idea? We could have gotten confused about something without you knowing it. My guess is you sniffed around the family and found out a secret of theirs, or they think you did. You can't lead them to mobilize like that by doing nothing. What do you think must have been, what you did must have been obvious to them. Are you sure you have no idea? Is it my ally or enemy? I can't figure it out. This is it. Make your decision, Rena. Hey, maybe they're after me because I have Mio's scrapbooks. Mio-san? Mio Takano? Her scrapbooks? What do you mean? If he was my enemy, he wouldn't be able to hide his excitement. But his voice remained steady. It didn't sound unusual when he said the word scrapbooks. Well, I met Mio at the library a few days before she was murdered. We talked and got along. Well, she let me borrow some of her scrapbooks, which she wrote about her studies in. Scrapbooks, her studies. Mio was studying the history of Hinamizawa. She summed up her findings in these scrapbooks. I think when they killed Mio-san, they found out her scrapbooks were missing. And also that she gave them to me. They're after the books? Ryugu, what in the world are you talking about? She collected her research about Hinamizawa and its ancient past as Onigafuchi in these books. She wrote about the origin of the cult in them too. The origin of the cult of Oyashiro-sama? You mean the story about the man-eating demons? Yeah, in her research she discovered an important secret. It's extremely blasphemous for the people to worship. Worship him? I see. The people, the most devout believers, couldn't accept the results of her research. I could hear him writing something while he spoke. They killed Mio and they're trying to get at her scrapbooks. Weren't sure I had them, so they followed me to find out, but I think they changed their plans yesterday. They're not trying to kill anyone suspicious. I see. It doesn't sound good at all. I'm going to arrange a security detail for you, and let me take a look at the scrapbooks too. I might be able to find some clues about her murder. They might have pawns inside the police force. Don't worry about me. I can look after myself. Same with the scrapbooks. They're going to try to destroy them, even if they were kept at the police station. You might be right. If the Corps is chasing after you because of an order from the head of the Sonozaki family, that means our enemy is the family itself. If so, I'm afraid I really can't guarantee you we don't have a traitor among us. Like, as a cop, is this really helping someone who's paranoid? Like, okay, if you don't believe her paranoid delusion about, like, these scrapbooks being the reason the Sonozaki are hunting her, like you're not assuaging her fears. She's like, they're after me, and he's like, yep, they could be after you. I think there's someone hunting you from the Sonozaki families. Yes, they're like Yakuza. They're gonna fucking kill you. Oh, the scrapbooks. Okay, I'm gonna need those. This isn't good. That's what I'm saying. Please don't worry about me. I have a favor to ask. It's important. Go ahead. What is it? According to Mio's, there's a horrifying conspiracy in the shadows of Hinamizawa. It's about to be carried out in the near future. A conspiracy? What about? If I tell him, it's going to sound like a big lie. I should leave out the bizarre sounding parts for now. It'd actually make the story more credible. Fanatical worshippers are the ones behind the conspiracy. Since the Meiji era, belief in Oyashiro has disappeared. They're trying to revive the majesty the people once worshipped. Go on, I'm listening. I'm just writing this down. According to Mio's research, the origin of the legend of Oyashiro-sama lies in a primitive endemic disease. People fear this endemic disease and call it the curse of Oyashiro. Someone like a doctor treated it, and he was worshipped by the villagers as Oyashiro himself. The village was then under his control. I see. Go on. The endemic was caused by a parasite unique to the region. It became weaker with each generation. It doesn't do harm to people, as you can imagine. To them, a harmless endemic disease means no curse. No curse means no savior. They can't keep the sanctity like that. And to revive the sanctity means... They have to revive the disease, right? Right. They want to recreate the legend in order to make Oyashiro a deity again. That's why they're trying to create the original parasite. Bring back the more powerful strain of the disease. The true intention of the deaths is to test the results of research. And they finally succeeded, reenacting the maggot's disease with Tomitake. It took 5 years, but they brought the parasite back to its original power. The hell? Their goal was to spread the parasite, use the cure they developed to save those who believe, and create for their paradise. Are you sure it's true? The scrapbooks say most of the residents are infected by the parasite. There's medical evidence of its existence. I can't believe it. That hag Oryu's on death's door already. Can't she just cross the sticks on her own? This is indiscriminate terrorism. I like how... Well, I can't tell if he's like on her side or he's just like, this chick is fucking crazy. The hell? The original parasite could only survive around her Namisawa, but there's this high probability they've improved it to be... Now she's making projections. To improve it inspired. It's going to destroy not only Namisawa, but Okinomiya. Or even the entire city. Damn it, what should we do? Who's behind all this? It's 3 families, most likely the Sodasakis. I'm not sure if Oryu's the leader or not. I can only refer to them as they. I also have no idea how far this reaches. You know what they're doing with all this where they're doing this research? I can shut it down. I don't know, it's not in the scrapbooks. Do you have any idea? Must be a big facility to do that research. You can use a garage for remodeling guns, but when it comes to parasites, I don't think that'd be enough. Mio's a nurse at the Erie Clinic. Do you think that could be it? I always thought it was too big and fancy for a small village like Hinamizawa. The Erie Clinic. You need a specialty designed facility with advanced airtight containment, among other considerations, to be able to do research on dangerous parasites. It's easy to equate suspicious research with a clinical facility, but it also sounds too easy and cliche. At first I thought they'd converted part of the clinic into a secret center, but that sounds too unrealistic. I don't know where it is. Find that out. Can't you just raid every suspicious place at once? We need a warrant for that? We need a warrant for that, guys. As you know, we need a warrant for that, but there's a way I can get one, even after doing a raid, but I need conclusive evidence that it was actually the research building in question. Ueshi's a police officer. If he's gonna work as a police officer, he has to follow the law. Really are planning bioterrorism? There has to be a reason why they killed Mio so quickly. I think the reason their day of revival isn't far off. I'll try to do what I can. I understand. With an unthinkable plan like this, I imagine it'd be difficult to keep all the family members on their side. I'm sure there are some who are secretly against it. I'll try to make contact with those. Don't worry, I'm good at things like this. Ueshi laughed to try and cheer me up. I was upset with the work of the police before, but Ueshi's positive reaction is reliable. He's what you might call an outlaw. I can't tell if he thinks she's joking or not. Or like, real or not. Ueshi's greatest advantage to me is he doesn't play by the rules. It's very encouraging he has that kind of skill, since we have to act quickly without conclusive evidence. The police normally investigate incidents after they've happened, but that doesn't work here. If this incident occurs, it's going to be a disaster. Exposed just a horrifying conspiracy. I'm scared. She met a sad end. She was burned in a drum in the mountains of Gifu. I feel sorry for him. Again, like, all the people actually being murdered keeps fueling her paranoia, right? It's kind of understandable. Even if you're like, this one's too far-fetched, it's like, after all the conspiracies and murders, it's kind of believable. You may as well just, like, fuck it and go all the way off the deep end. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. We found something odd about her death. Odd? Well, at first I thought it had to do with the case, but after hearing your conspiracy story, it's starting to sound like nothing. The crime lab probably just made a mistake. Tell me, I want to know. We promised to tell each other everything, didn't we? I don't mean to hide it, it's just it might sound silly. Ryu, do you remember the night of Watanagashi? After the festival, you and 4 of your friends talked with Tomitake and Takano, right? We did. We just talked for a few minutes or so, I think. Well, we found Takano's dead body that night, but the crime lab in Gifu said she'd been dead 24 hours when she was found. That doesn't make sense. If that's true, she had to be dead the night before the festival. Wait, what's that supposed to mean? I'm confused. If she was dead on the night of Watanagashi, and she'd been dead for 24 hours, that means... In short, it means she was already dead on the night of Watanagashi. So the Takano you saw that night was... a zombie? I got you, didn't I? Well, like I said, I think they just made a mistake. I felt my brain freeze over. Ueshi laughed, saying it sounded like a horror story from summer camp, but actually, the fact that Mio's time of death was off backed up her incredulous theories. I hadn't mentioned this one to Ueshi or Keiichi. If I did, they'd start to doubt everything I'd ever said. That's how unbelievable this theory is. At any rate, the mismatch with the time of Mio's death means a lot. What irony. Mio came up with the theory and proved it correct with her own life? Not yet. This doesn't prove anything. If her theory is true, it might happen again. Oh, there's no way. That can't be true. I still can't fucking believe it. Uishi just said it. He said Mio was dead on the night of the festival. Yeah, but I'd have them double check that. It means Mio, who was walking arm in arm with Tomitake on that night, wasn't Mio. Mio was already dead, it wasn't her. Which means she was... I felt a new sensation, one I'd never felt in my life before. Not an ordinary kind of dread. It was fear of the truth. Fear is worse than the fear. No fear is worse than the fear of accepting truth you don't want to believe. Compared to this fear, the fear of being stalked by the Sonozakis or being burned alive in an oil drum looked silly. That's how deep of a fear I felt. And I felt it crawling all over my body. Ryugu, please listen. I understand you don't trust the police. It's true the Sonozaki have control over the entire city. There are some traitors at my station too. But you're in danger. You can trust me. I want you to trust me as an individual. I can provide shelter. In a place nobody knows but me. Please trust me. I don't doubt Uishi at this point. I actually think he's reliable. I would have said yes without a second thought, but the situation is drastically changed. If Mio's death backs up the unbelievable truth, I trust Uishi. I believe he'll find the enemy and take them down, but I'd rather protect myself on my own than let someone else do it. That's fair. If the unbelievable truth is real, then I couldn't trust anybody except myself. Even myself might appear before me too. Shit, thanks so much. Please find the research center. Put a stop to the conspiracy. I'm gonna hide somewhere for a while. I'll call you again. I noticed I've been on the phone too long. I've been using this phone booth with the light on in the middle of the darkness. In other words, telling everyone I'm here. Hello? Hello? She hung up. I wish he wanted to talk more. He clicked his tongue and put the phone down. His junior, Kuma guy, rushed into the room. Uishi, it's getting really bad now. The one who gave the Sonozaki Corps the order to find Rena Ryugu? It's Tatsuyoshi Kasai. The one who gave the Sonozaki Corps the order to find Rena is Kasai? Kasai? Akane Sonozaki's right-hand man? Tatsuyoshi Kasai was a pretty high-ranking big shot, even amongst the boss's younger brothers. He used to be the boss of a subordinate branch, but after suffering a bad injury during a gang war, he stepped down, and he served as the boss's aide. Kasai's legit, right? Like, all these people are legit, right? It's not like they're just, like, random people. They're all, like, legit. This guy's, like, legit Yakuza, man. Akane Sonozaki relies specially on him, and as her right-hand man, he's still feared even now. And Akane Sonozaki is, I think, Shiona Mion's father. When Kasai moves, other gangs consider it a declaration of war. They fear him a lot. He's a warrior amongst warriors. He's been lying low these days, but he's led countless numbers of gang wars. He's also the leader of the professional attack squadron that went to the US to receive military training during the damn conflict. Oh, it just keeps getting worse. It's like you see where this is. Like, it could be a crazy conspiracy, but you don't know. They were crazy enough to think of attacking the Ministry of Construction for real. Looks like it's causing quite an uproar amongst our informants. They're saying Rena must have found some kind of information that's really inconvenient for the Corps. I'm impressed how to the point our informants actually are. Still, this is getting serious. Sato thinks it's the tape Oryu and the minute. Sato-san thinks it's the tape Oryu and the Ministry of Construction recorded during their secret negotiations. If it's true, it's going to cause quite a few deaths. This is more serious than that, Uishi thought. If her story is true, it's a massive conspiracy. It's also, like, has no evidence. But who knows? It's going to cause more than quite a few deaths. It might destroy the entire village or even the entire prefecture. It's going to be the biggest terrorist strike in history. Now, amusingly enough, guys, if we follow the timeline, it will the entire village will actually be destroyed. Amusingly enough, there will be an eruption that kills the entire village. It's kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny, like all this paranoia, and it's like something big might actually happen. Rena Ryugu is in danger. Kuma-chan. Range an unmarked patrol car. Keep watching our house. As today, we're gonna put Rena Ryugu under protection. She's convinced she's being threatened by the gang. I'll talk to the section manager later. Actually, Rena seems to have run away from home. A police officer confirmed that a lot of money disappeared from her father's cash box. Sounds like she took it and ran. I also had a call about a car belonging to the Corps, marked in front of her house too. Wait, what? Why didn't you tell me that sooner? Rena Ryugu's in great danger. She wasn't calling me from her house then. We need to find her right away. Give me a car. Arrest the people parked in front of her house. And get some guys over there. They're coming with me. Yes, sir. like this is serious, right? Like, they're all gamers. What? Rena wasn't at home? It's pretty late. Yeah, I waited in front of her house for a while. She didn't come home. Maybe she's at a friend's place. She might be at Sis's house with their other friends, doing their club activities or whatever. Shion was lying down on the sofa, picturing her sister and friends fooling around and playing games like they always did. Thought so too. I stopped by Mion's, but Rena wasn't there either. Mion was worried about her too. Oh, really? Well, I wonder what happened to her. She might have been caught by some hoodlum, though that would be unusual. I already told my staff to look for her just in case. I don't think that's what happened. She's not as weak as she looks. Anyway, why'd she want to see me? Kasai took off his jacket. Shion only told him to go see Rena because she heard that Rena requested to see him in person. Oh, I thought I told you. She said she found something you lost. Rena wanted to give it back to you in person. I guess she likes you or something. Oh, please. Anyway, I hope she's alright. Alright then, the phone rang. Hot anime waifu? Yeah, you're right. Goes a little bit crazy at times, but she's lots of fun. Kasai answered it while loosening his tie. Yes, I understand. At once. Kasai sounded serious, and Shion immediately figured out who he was talking to. Who was it? Was it my father? Yes, the Sonozaki family sent out an order to find Rena right away and to bring her to the main house. You mean Oryu gave the order? I wonder what Rena did. Will she have to peel off her own fingernails? She's not joking about that one. She's not joking about that one. If Oryu wants you taken in, you're probably going to lose a few fingernails or worse. I hope Oryu goes easy on her. Poor girl. Like, I don't know. How much can your paranoia be confirmed if it's like Oryu left her, you're like, oh fuck. Rena hasn't come home yet? No. I heard Rena ran away from home. She's hiding somewhere. Hiding somewhere? What do you mean? I just got the information. It seems the police are looking for her. What? An unmarked patrol car is watching her house right now. It seems there's several patrol cars looking for her in the village. Uncle Kimiyoshi received a call from the police too. He was told to use the town network to find if anyone knows where she is. You think they found the corpses we hit? Hit them deep in the mountains. They couldn't have found them that easy. No, it's impossible. I guarantee you that. How can you be so sure? Well, tell you the truth, I let the Sonozaki family take care of them. They moved the bags to a secret place. Fucking F's in chat for the son. Oh god. Oryu and Mion. the taking L's here. Wow. So you're like feeding so much paranoia here. Oh my god. Secret place? Calm down. Don't worry about it. I heard there's a major logging project happening this summer on the mountain where we hid the corpses. I arranged help and took care of it. I see. Very reliable when you're on my side, but you're a terrible person to have as an enemy. Recommend you never underestimate me. So it's not the corpses they're after, then why are the police trying to find her? I don't know. It seems like many gang members knew that Teppei Hojo and Rena were trying to blackmail the Ryugu family. Oh, that might be the reason the police are after Rena. Yeah, there's like so much. There's so much again, they're all okay with Teppei Hojo and Rena blackmailing the Ryugus and stealing all their money. Wonderful people. They already knew that. And I'm like, okay. I don't think they consider her a suspect yet, but they probably want her as material witness. That's the same thing, damn it. Rena finally got her peaceful life. I'm not gonna let them ruin this shit. Mion, we're gonna need to help her. Of course. I already told my family in Okinomi to find her before the police get. You can trust the Sonozaki family. They can protect her from the police. 120% guaranteed. Just finding her first isn't going to solve the problem. We have to do something to clear her of suspicion. So the Sonozakis and the cops are after her. This is like so chaotic. She's like on the run from the Sonozakis in Paranoia. And then the cops are looking for her to try to save her. And everyone's like, no one knows why. And the only thing that it's doing is fueling her conspiracy. Uishi, you are like, I don't know how to say it's Uishi, but you're like causing so much of a mess. Try driving her into paranoia about her friends. I'll think about that after we found her. We can make as many alibis as she needs. As many witnesses for the alibis. We have very good lawyers. Never abandon our friends when they're in trouble. Right. We can save Rena. Damn it, I wish I could do more than depend on you, Mion. Well, don't worry about that. It's okay to let someone else handle the situation whenever that person's better at it. This old man will take care of everything. Also, I'll create an alibi to fool the cops watching the whole village. We'll say Rena was spotted near Gagura. The wider the search area, the fewer policemen in our place. Great idea. It's like nothing. We did more during the damn conflict. I'll protect Rena. And Kei-chan? Rena trusts you more than anyone, so she might come to you. If she does, please protect her, and give me a call right away. Will do. Rena's a strong girl. She should be fine. She can overcome this. I think so too. I hesitated to say something. Rena hadn't been her normal self lately. If she was her normal self, I'd have no doubt she'd overcome this. But Rena is deeply convinced Takano's delusions are true. Rena believes the Sonozaki family is behind the conspiracy. I'm not sure if she'd trust the family to protect her. Don't worry. I'm her friend too. She'll understand once I sit down and talk to her. Just like Kei-chan and I cleared up our misunderstanding, I can do that with her. Oh, you're gonna fail. I still can't believe you believe such a crazy story, though. Well, I can't believe I did either. This is gonna be the most embarrassing thing to ever happen in my life. Oh man, I think it's gonna get worse. I think it's getting worse. I was deeply convinced until I talked to Mion. Even after the promise of friendship we made, I doubted her. Takano was endowed with magic, and I think the scrapbooks she wrote also carried a spell. Dude, it's not just the scrapbooks. You're believing the scrapbooks. She's being told that this is all true by the police. She is 100% entitled to her paranoid spiral. You're like a dumbass and don't realize that the stuff about the Sonozakis being literally the mob is true, and the wonderful stories about their torture room are all true. Like, you don't believe that shit because you're like, oh, Mion's my friend. The scrapbooks can make people go mad. They're forbidden scrapbooks. No one is supposed to read them. Rena is captivated by the power of that magic even after Takano's death. I'll have to wake her up. I got a bad feeling about this. I'm sorry, someone's at the door. It might be the police. I gotta go. Alright. I'll tell them Rena's hiding near Gogura. If they ask you something, just keep telling them you don't know anything. Got it. Mion waited for my answer and hung up the phone. After she hung up, I started to feel like Rena was being consumed by some huge, unthinkable fate. It's not only the police I'm worried about. I'm worried because Rena's ensnared by the power of Takano's magic, and I fear she might be suffering from incredible anxiety. Alright. Rena might be hiding at her secret base in the garbage dump. She told me she used to spend time there when Rena was at her house. She told me that's where she hid the scrapbooks there too. If she's hiding there, she must be hungry. I should bring her something to eat. I went to the kitchen to look for junk food. Wait, it must have been Mion's door. Alright, junk food. My mom looked confused. Mom, I'm gonna go somewhere. I'll be right back. At this time? It's late. It's very important. I'll be right back. And if Rena comes here, let her stay in my room. And if someone calls and asks if you know where she is, say you don't know and hang up, okay? Mom looked angry I was leaving the house at a late hour, but I rushed out of the house before she could say anything. I grabbed the flashlight from the wall of the garage, got on my bike, and sped off into the darkness. The moon looked beautiful, but in a creepy way. I feel like something terrible is going to happen. I do too. I'm waiting to see how badly this goes. I don't know what it is, but I know it's coming. Something is going to happen. Now, this is a few days past the Watanagashi. The gas explosion could be happening tomorrow. We don't actually know. But if the timeline isn't changed, it's very possible it happens. The moon, seemingly knowing just what that something will be, looked like it was laughing at us, pacing back and forth in confusion. Damn it. Laugh all you want. Laugh at this funny story as much as you want. I'm not gonna laugh. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna smash through whatever fate's waiting for us. Rena, I hope you're there. Maybe my bike needs some oil? It was making lousy noise as I pedaled. Even my bike laughs at me. Is this where the chapter closes? On that ominous feeling that something is going to go down. Just that next scene. Yup. Absolutely. I saw that coming a mile away. Alright, them. This next tip is titled them. I finished talking with... Okay, it's the text... So, the text for Rena has steadily declined from... It was... Remember when it was, like, lilac or, like, purple? And now it's down to... It's gone to, like, blood orange, and now it's, like, fully red. This is about as red as it gets. I finished talking with Uishi on the phone, and soon left the phone booth. I realized something, and a chill ran through my body. I was in a phone booth that stood out tremendously in the dark. Somebody must have seen me. I was certain. I was being watched. I saw glowing eyes staring at me in the dark. It wasn't human. Was it an illusion? No. I knew who they were. They were the ones controlling the three families who ruled Hinamizawa. Its eye level was too low to be human. Its outline was vague. I knew from the past records they were physically frail. The silhouette which indicated its inhuman appearance was unbelievably unrealistic. Especially its protruding head. One of the scrapbooks I received from Mio described their appearance in detail. Their eyeballs were like pure red, like blood. Their bodies smell like ammonia. Even though some of them have at times been captured around the world, all of them melted or disappeared, leaving no trace behind. The only traces are the marks proving their descent to Earth. And right then, the impossible, unrealistic silhouette took a step closer, and closer to me, making a realistic noise as it crunched across the gravel. The noise pulled me back to reality. Don't come closer, monster. It kept walking towards me. It sounded like it was kicking pebbles everywhere as it walked. It was coming closer and closer. I was scared, so I said the same thing once again. And this time, the glass door of the phone booth I was in started to rattle and shake. It made weird noises as if being struck by something. I screamed in fear and started running. I ran so hard it felt like my lungs were going to explode. And when I looked back, I found the thing was no longer chasing after me. Was it my imagination? There's no way it was my imagination. I definitely heard the sound of the gravel being kicked and the phone booth rattling. I needed to calm down. It could have been a car. Right then, I needed to make my heart stop beating so fast. I have to fight them eventually. The next time they appeared, I'll strike back. I'll squash their heads with my big hatchet. I'll protect Hinamizawa. It's my duty to do so. Ooh, big hatchet. That's a keyword. He's going to be sitting there hiding at the garbage dump with a hatchet, and the first person who comes around, she might whack him. It was my duty to do so. I couldn't allow them to do whatever they wanted. I saw the lights flicker in my head again. Alright. She's like past 1,000% paranoid. She's at like 1,500% paranoid. Like she just keeps going up and up and up. This can only end badly at this point, pretty much. This only ends badly. But we're not going to find out how it ends today.